My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity, theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. It is Sunday, June 29th, 2025. This is documentation of Starbucks, the gang stalker who is engaging in what is incorporating the business with domestic terrorism and psychological torture, gang stalking of the state. And this is relevant for the prosecution of that corporation, the prosecution of the people of the state employed by that third-party company, and the people of the state that are gang stalking. License 97758M2. 8ZWG660. Omnitrans is a third party systematically crossing path as they are engaged in the business of public transit. They're gang stalking. 4X RBs. Oh, I can't really see that one. You can scratch that one. The entity, so is Chevron and Arco, 434 North Euclid Avenue, Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue. The entity has the fake sun you'll see in the images. The fake sun is in perfect alignment with where I'm seated. The demon possessed are gang stalking. They open the front door, impossible light outside, streaming across the sidewalk, impossible light activity under what is a fake sun. And on the inside, the same terrorism, swiping light, which is attacking me. And they're exhibiting mental illness while you're psychologically torturing and stalking someone as an entity. And this demonic light activity pursuant to criminal monitoring, and they're also doing it pursuant to knowledge about what I'm uploading on the internet about their criminal conduct. And this is also simultaneously serving to disband the Ontario Police Department. It's currently 7:49 a.m. This is P.O.C. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, this is relevant to the gang stalking. This is impossible light activity, and this is not even the sun. The impossible light activity has nothing to do with the fake sun, as I'm helping you break apart these illusions. And in the same way that driving down the street has nothing to do with the impossible light that occurs on the inside of the cafe, when the people of the state know exactly who I am, and they're targeting with that ongoing admission that I've documented inside of Starbucks at all hours, also including the business. And this is, again, stationary engineer light, which is, again, occurring while their impossible light is occurring on the inside and then on the outside as well. All right, while they open and close the door, and that's pacing while they go into the storage area. They're gang stalking while they're wearing the barista aprons. This is the prosecution of Starbucks, the corporation. It's headquartered in Seattle. This is impossible light activity. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me in this time of year in Los Angeles, at Alvarado Gardens. LAPD's gang stalking. And the people of the state come and purchase beverages, gang stalking in doing so. It is currently, again, 7:50 a.m. That's impossible light coming on the inside and on the outside. License 97758M2. The entity is engaging in what is exhibiting mental illness when you're looking at the psychopathic pattern of conduct. Strangers coming in and gang stalking, knowing exactly who I am. The light activity, the fake sun documentation, the gang stalking by the government directly is relevant to that. This is, again, ALAYNA, AMELIA, Brian, Saul. They are all here gang stalking with the entity, and Starbucks, the corporation, is going to be criminally and civilly prosecuted as well. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:50 a.m. You are looking at Satanists, demons, wearing tie and button-up shirts. And this is what Satan puts before you. It's like looking at gang stalking police officers. Like it's relevant what they're wearing. License 8TBS620. These are demons that are monitoring my vagina. So that's what you're going to be mindful of when they're coming in button-up shirts and suit jackets. License 9TMX320. They're in the demonic environment under the fake sun. These are delusional psychopaths. License 9CTV128, who are already surrounded with the evidence of the fake sun, of stalking with the government, and insurmountable evidence of what is blatantly inappropriate conduct by the government is what surrounds them. ELGM 609. Surveillance in the parking lot, 7MSZ 863. Monitoring with the demons that come in on camera with suit and tie, and these are the demons engaged in surveillance in the parking lot. 6ZEU 331, 7UGU 351, 9MKB 686, 7THX 757. This is Saul 6HOJ821. That's Saul's license plate. He works at Starbucks, gang stalking. 8UKF 121, and license 8NJG 701. The entity is keeping the fake sun now over the back parking lot. So this is where the fake sun is yesterday, remember, when I'm leaving at 10. And the Ontario police are gang stalking by helicopter as I document the people of the state. And then you remember they did that again when the fake sun remained over the Ovid Family Community Library as I exited at 6 p.m., documenting the demons that wear button-up shirts and suit jackets, as though that's going to evade a federal prosecution for gang stalking, which is demonic activity. And demons regularly refer to the name of Jesus, which is nothing other than audible activity. But if you remember that documentation, the Ontario police also gang stalking under the fake sun that's going to remain over this Starbucks today, and it's not going to be at 215 EC Street, which is still the pattern of conduct of the sun remaining on one street within 0.4 miles. That P.O.C. license 9ECE612 is engaging in that, and the fake sun's in the same position. Let me show you that. All right, gang stalk with Ontario International Airport. Federal stalking, license 7MSZ863. I read that one already, just in case I did not read that one already, rather. License 7CEX076. They're engaging in the same thing that you see on video. This is demonic pacing under a fake sun, so you recognize the crime scene that they're all enacting together, and these are the demon-possessed. License plate 5DNX 602. That's an employee. License 78352J3. Impossible light that you see inside of the cafe is what's covering the sidewalk when they're driving by in their vehicles. 9KRE 606 and 8XLKO58. 7UGU351, 6UYG300. And you're mindful, this is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. This is why Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks are subject to federal prison, regardless. This is an unlawful threat to the life and safety of any American citizen. This animalistic, barbaric conduct, where they're not even getting my money, but the entity is still gang stalking, and the entity is going to be prosecuted for it. 4KRF382. The fake sun's remaining over the front window where I'm seated, where I'm positioned in the cafe. That's where the fake sun is remaining. And you'll see that's also evidence of targeting. Everything that the demons are doing in that environment is proof of their targeting conduct. 6S89361. And remember, today it is right now, Brian and ALAYNA, AMELIA, SAUL is present, engaging in the pattern of conduct 14938G3. Gang stalking, they're all walking with double shadows. Engineer light is flying all across the ceiling and the walls with regard to molesting my person as well. And this is the sex offender that's monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, 7SJM449. This is P.O.C. The entity's keeping the fake sun over the Starbucks, which is relevant to, again, a prosecution of the company that's engaging in criminal conduct that it's profiting from. It's built into the business. They come in engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring and sell them a drink as they do it. P.O.C. It's 8:11 a.m. And the fake sun, I'll go ahead and take a picture of it because it's back over the front, which is Euclid Avenue, in alignment to where I'm seated on the couch, moving the fake sun as I walk around the venue inside and out of it. This is P.O.C. All right, this Starbucks is located at 507 North Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. Euclid Avenue runs north and south in Ontario, California, and the entity is, again, 24 hours ago, maintaining the fake sun here. And the fake sun is relevant with regard to what you're seeing now is the same setting when the demon-possessed, some of whom are wearing button-up shirts and dressing like pilgrims to come in and gang stalk, which is demonic. And they're engaging, and it's also criminal, but the entity is engaging in what is the gang stalking conduct, and when they get in their vehicles and drive off, the fake sun remains over me, which is how you know who they're targeting, and no conversation with me is necessary in order to engage in that psychopathic and sexually perverted, malicious pattern of conduct, which is state action, which the corporation is being prosecuted for, the state is being prosecuted for, and the people of the state are being prosecuted for. They're doing so while that setting, that crime scene remains present as the people of the state just pace in and out, pace in and out, pace in and out. And that's why the fake sun is going to remain here, and it's not going to be over the Ovitt Family Community Library, which is also the pattern of conduct, because the sun is never going to be on one street, not deviating in any direction west for me to capture it at 10 o'clock in the morning after I leave this venue, where the entity's not going to do that today. The fake sun's going to stay here, which I will document, and you'll see that, which is the ongoing consistent evidence of a gang stalking population who are mentally sick. These are demons who engage in what is your reliance on their illusions, and there are no illusions that are going to be effective in federal court. In fact, actually, the illusions presented by the entity that they rely on are going to be used to prosecute them and prove them to be both mentally ill. Mental examinations, diagnosis is relevant to the evidence of gang stalking. It's also going to be used to prosecute. But it's currently 8:14 a.m. The entity is engaged in the P.O.C. Maintaining bodies in the cafe is relevant to criminal presence. And Starbucks is also engaged in the crime, literally stalking as an establishment. And everything that they're doing is relevant to me. That's also what's mentally sick about what the entity is doing, because they're all monitoring, and their presence is relevant to monitoring. Literally, the movement and the noises that they make is obsessively monitoring me. And this is how you have a group of people that are engaging in demonic synchronicity, doing so while they center at a table focusing on a book text that they're not focused on, the conversation with each other that they're not focused on. These are demons who are focused on me, and that's the reality of what they're, and all the evidence already shows that. And they're gang stalking with the Ontario Police that are stalking me at this venue, stalking me as I'm walking around outside, stalking me at the Ovitt Family Community Library, stalking me as I document these same demons monitoring my vagina. So that's what you're mindful of when delusional psychopaths are relying on you to look at one picture, and that one picture is incriminating. So they no longer even benefit from the illusion that they benefit off of only when there's no evidence of what they've been engaged in for years. And they, me, being the people of the state. It's currently 8:15 a.m. This is P.O.C. At 1:07 p.m., when the fake sun is remaining over 507 North Euclid Avenue, the Starbucks, that is ongoing corroborating evidence regarding why the Ontario Police Department, those gang stalkers at the Ovid Family Community Library, engaging in what is the unlawful threat of targeting, psychologically torturing, and threatening an American citizen, whom they know is also documenting, but engaging in that malicious pattern of conduct under the guise that no one is ever going to recognize the criminal conduct that they're actually engaging in, because the pattern of conduct is pursuant to monitoring. Presence in that environment is both appearing to be harmless, especially when they're not speaking to you, but it's criminal monitoring pursuant to surveillance, which is ceaselessly underway, and psychologically torturous behavior, which is also unconstitutional and inhumane and sexually perverted. Literally being engaged in that pattern of conduct is the act of domestic terrorism by that terrorist organization, the Ontario PD, and they are the same, that is not harmless whatsoever, communicating a threat, engaging in a pattern of criminal defamation, malicious assertions, kidnappings, and they are engaged in this perpetual sex offensive monitoring my vagina, okay? They're doing so with the people of the state that are filling the cafe at Starbucks. So when the fake sun is remaining here at 107, this is always what you're mindful of, and that's the entity that cannot under any circumstances supersede the evidence and reliance on illusions, which are momentary, and they're also hollow. They're literally irrelevant at this point. But I'm pointing out to you what the demon possessed rely on. And you're able to look at that, cognizant of that, and see, I see how they do it. I see what they're relying on. You understand and see what they are anticipating you to look at, and you're going to prosecute for malice. That's what that's relevant to. And it's mental illness, psychopathic, malicious conduct that is seeking to harm another person, engaging in the gang stalking system. This is, again, I want to be clear, Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison, okay? And Tracy Lemire Banks, she's going to federal prison. They are, again, the sex duo, the Satanists that worship Satan while they have sex with each other, and they worship me in their demonic rituals, and they have group sex with other demons as well. But I want to be clear, these two are the ones that are maintaining a secret conservatorship and thought that gang stalking was going to accomplish theft of my property, and that I would never learn about my property, and that I would be kidnapped, and that they would be able to artificially engineer mental illness. And stalking an American citizen, which the entity has proven to be doing, does not equate to mental illness on the part of any American citizen, let alone myself, as the evidence fully proves. And the entity is literally as idiotic as it can get. Following me around in a helicopter is the most obvious means of harassment and terrorism. And it's the highest level of a threat that a state that is stalking you can pose. And it is also demonstrating severe mental illness. Also in the delusion of engaging in that in the face of hundreds of pre-existing video evidence. Why would you do that? Because you don't have self-control, and because you are also desperate. Understand the demon possessed, they're desperate, but that desperation results in more harm to other people. This is the national security threat. While the demon possessed fill this country, engaging in surveillance, and in the surveillance system, gang stalking is underway. The government targets people for whatever benefit that it presupposes it's going to derive. The entity thought that they were going to steal money from me. This is why you have judges and attorneys lying on my character, never even being included in any secret court hearings about property that I was never even told that I have. And then you have this gang stalking system. Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks are going to federal prison for this, and justice requires it. All right, it is currently 8:20 a.m. The demon possessed who are mentally ill are gang stalking, and they're doing so in an obvious manner, which is providence with regard to a prosecution. Okay, this is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 8:48 a.m. and what you'll see reflected in the images is stalking in the path and demonic behavior, which with regard to movement, with simultaneity to my movements and what I'm doing on my devices, and also everybody that you see inside of the cafe is engaged in surveillance, and this is also a picture of the demon possessed, and this is criminal conduct. This is gang stalking inside of the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and the fake sun is captured. You'll see it at 8:48, or it might have been 8:47 because time keeps going as I start recording. But seconds ago I captured it, so 8:47, 8:48. You'll see the fake sun. You'll see this old Caucasian woman, she with the hat on. That's what you'll see. She's walking. The reason why I'm pointing her out amongst everybody else is because she's engaged in dynamic movement. It's light activity. Her shadow is in the engineer light that's flat on the floor on the inside. It's impossible light. They're all in the evidence. This is how you're going to prosecute the unintelligent entity that's gang stalking. And they're all under the evidence because the fake sun sits here all day long.
from 6 till 7, after 7 p.m. And the entity is keeping engineer light also moving on my bags, moving around my person. So as I'm looking at my phone, for example, like I documented at 7-Eleven last night, where I was putting my bag beside the counter, the register counter, these are demons. These are not normal people. And they're also not normal because you're looking at how they want to be perceived as they talk and chit chat and buy coffee and make coffee and work at the venue. And they're demons in a whole cartoon environment, stalking with light. Severely mentally sick, okay? Including as you are aware of the light activity. So as I am, like I documented at 7-Eleven, putting my bag across on the side of the register, light is appearing where I'm putting my hand to place my bag. That's called stalking with light. It's very demonic, and they're engaged in that heavy-duty, diligent stalking, including with noise. So I want to be clear, Saul, Brian, Jasmine entered into the venue. She entered in through the front door this morning. I did see her, but I don't know what she was specifically. I know she was gang stalking. She was gang stalking and doing that, but whether she's actually on the shift, because I haven't seen her since, but she's documented today because she engaged in the P.O.C. She was gang stalking me when she arrived earlier this morning. So I want to be clear, Amelia, Saul, ALAYNA, and Brian, and the employees at the venue, they're engaging in the pattern of conduct of stalking me with ongoing noise, which is psychological torture that Starbucks is going to be prosecuted for. This is what Aveneth Capital Management engaged in while I was remaining in the apartment, and the entity kept the fake son over Woodside Senior Apartments, Tracy Banks' apartment, which is not going to be shared. What the entity is gang stalking at 8:49 a.m. on May 8, 2025. If you'll recall my evidence, the Ontario Police Department begins flying in a circle at 8:49 a.m. When I am at Unit 51 of 408 West G Street in Ontario, California. This is May 8, 2025. The entity has the fake sign as I'm capturing at 8:48 a.m. when I'm inside of the cafe of Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and I am inside of the cafe because remember, when I'm in the parking lot, then it's over the building to be extended to be over the roof, and it's also sitting on top of the building. It's very asinine, everything that the entity is doing, and it's obvious. But for purposes of understanding demonic activity and recognizing the veracity of everything that I am testifying to, it's good for you because it's plain, but it's very unscientific, very idiotic, very obvious, very asinine, what the entity is doing with the fake sun. So the entity is at 8:49 a.m. has the fake sun over Tracy Banks' apartment, where the Ontario police commenced to flying in a circle, as they are always engaging in this ritualistic behavior while they are exhibiting mental illness, stalking me incessantly, using helicopters while a fake sun remains over my head. At 408 West G Street on May 8, 2025, which is not coexisting with what this Caucasian woman is doing. She is stalking in the path. The moment that I switch activity on my phone, I was capturing screenshots to document the defendants inside, well, demons who are defendants working at the venue, because I'm identifying by name if I have it, and I'm also identifying by image all of the third parties that are employed at the venue who are engaging in what is psychological torture, stalking with noise, and they're all stalking with light. Engineer light is moving across my property, moving across my person, while you're looking at the psychopaths that are wearing button-up shirts, while they're holding out laptops and holding books and whatnot, and these are demons. Okay, so the entity is engaging in this, and in the face of evidence, that's the mental illness as well. They're delusional. They're going to be prosecuted. Okay, this is like a psychopath that committed a murder on camera and is still conducting themselves like nobody saw that footage, like nobody knows what's going on, and everyone else is looking at them like, what is wrong? Everyone knows what you did. Everyone saw it, and no one's questioning that. These are the demon possessed that are also not going to win in any court case. They've already lost, in fact. And the entity is being prosecuted, not just the government, but the people of the state who are in the shoes of the government. And they're doing it in the face of evidence that they are keeping under surveillance. And this is understanding the obsession of Satan, who is using the people of the state who are demon possessed, okay? That's that obsession. Their obsession with me is also exhibited in the impossible light activity. So while I am, like at 7-Eleven last night, putting my bag across inside of the store, but adjacent to the register counter, then light comes out of nowhere, orange colored light, where I'm putting my hand to move my bag. That's very heavy duty stalking conduct, psychopathic. While they maintain at the same time a demeanor of being disinterested. I'm shopping, I'm parking, I'm talking, I'm smoking, I'm walking my dog. They're demons, and they are psychopaths, okay? And that level of stalking somebody, following my hand around with light, that's how heavy duty the stalking is. Okay, and this is just the character of Satan when you're getting past the outward demeanor of things. And with regard to Satan's tactics, very highly deceptive, but that doesn't mean that it's intelligent. Okay, because a lot of things everything that I'm pointing out to you, all you have to do is open your eyes because you can plainly see it. The fake sun is still here where it was at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and they're all sitting in the evidence, and that's not going to be a mystery and any sort of controversy. It's a straightforward prosecution, and it's consistent with what an entity is doing in an entirely different region, what LAPD is doing. LAPD's engagement in the pattern of conduct is actually Providence as well, because it's prosecuting the city of Ontario, who's gang stalking obsessively, and they're subject to federal prison, disbanding, removal from office, a criminal record that's going to remain. You're not getting gang stalking, which is a violent sex offense, expunged off your record. I don't care how many years. It's terrorism, and that's going to be justice as well. The entity seeks to sacrifice an American citizen by permanently removing them, deleting them from existence. Murder. Okay, the entity intends to kidnap somebody, take their liberty while they enjoy your property, your money, stealing from you. That's a criminal record that the terrorists that are gang stalking are going to remain with. So I just want to document 8:48 a.m. Be mindful of what the Ontario police who are being documented while the people of the state engage in their unintelligent pattern of conduct. A bunch of demons who rely on illusions, and then in their lifestyle of relying on illusions and relying on witchcraft and rituals to get their way in life, to manipulate circumstances and people, that's not working in a federal prosecution with evidence. With facts and with an ongoing investigation that is fact-focused. And the entity is going to be prosecuted by way of its use and reliance on illusions, such as smiling or what you're wearing, or, meaning it's relevant, for example, if you're monitoring me and you're naked. That's first of all, you're stalking me, and you're stalking me in the nude. That's how that's going to be prosecuted. That's how that would be analyzed. The stalker is engaging in what is targeting me, and they're doing it in the nude. This is what Tracy Banks would do while she is gang stalking me in her apartment. She's a sex offender. She's a pedophile. Okay, she's a pervert, a Jezebel spirit, and that's the tactic that she would engage in. She would also use that when she was being documented in order to try to distract. There's no distracting me. What do I always do? I always add in what the demons are doing while I'm documenting them. I always add in what the demons commence to doing as I'm in the midst of publishing the evidence. It's never a distraction that's stopping. I added on to it. They're ongoing acts of obstruction of justice and an admission that they're engaging in surveillance, stalking me. That's why you're flying in circles over me in helicopter, where the fake sun is still present at the Ovid Family Community Library when I entered at 10 in the morning. Specifically, I entered at 10:35 a.m. yesterday on June 28, 2025. You know where the fake sun is going to be today, because it's a fake sun and not the natural environment, where a bunch of demons are engaging in what is delusional conduct. They just tell themselves that the evidence isn't there. They tell themselves that it doesn't matter. They tell themselves that it's going to work out fine. We just keep up the act and everything. This is what the demon possessed tell themselves, and they go right into destruction, okay? And the destruction is the prosecution of the state of California and all of the ways in which that's going to manifest. So the entity is engaging in this and is doing so, and all of the conversation is pursuant to monitoring me. All of what they're doing as they walk into the bathroom, and that's what this old white lady is doing, wearing a hat. She does so the moment that I switch to camera mode. And then also logically, this is foolish, because obviously I'm going to capture images of your presence, which serves to prosecute you and a lot of other people. The demons are more engaged in what are obsessing and stalking me, which is not going to get them any property that belongs to me. It's not getting them any sort of prize. Certainly not in the spiritual realm, because they're also going to be physically prosecuted with regard to the judgment that they're subject to. These are demons that summon demonic spirits that cannot, under any circumstances, contend with me. I'm not scared of demons. This is why I'm exposing them, and this is why the entity is hostile, but their hostility just results in more documented criminal conduct. Hence, gang stalking under a fake sun that remains over one address. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was 8 hours at the Ovid Family Community Library yesterday, as I'm documenting you monitoring monitoring when I'm in the bathroom. The entity is engaging in the P.O.C. Hello. How can I help you? It's 8:58 a.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, the pattern of conduct remains underway. This is, again, the peculiar conduct of Tracy Banks, who is gang stalking me, but again, Satan comes bearing gifts. This is, again, the entity that is aware that I am engaged in documentation, and it is not less of a threat when you are engaged in the pattern of conduct and coming and, again, remember what the entity is doing, calling the police and lying about medication, lying about mental illness existing, lying about being raped, lying about being a criminal, and then while I'm documenting and the evidence is damning, coming a whole different personality. Oh, here, I bought you food. Do you want this? It's very creepy. But nonetheless, this is the entity that is engaged in that P.O.C. and it's occurring in the same exact specific environment. That's why I just paused my documentation right now. But this is the ongoing P.O.C. It's 8:59 a.m. and it's also relevant. I'm pointing out what's happening at 8:49 a.m. Tracy Banks is listening to everything that's exposed. While I'm documenting the Ontario Police at the Open Family Community Library, Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. So is her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields. So, like I said, the fake son that's over me at her apartment, which she's aware of, and as she arrives, at the Ontario Police flying in circles on me, which is on video. Everybody in this cafe is gang stalking under a fake sun that is not at the same time in a natural environment over Tracy Banks' apartment at 408 West G Street, okay? And as I begin recording, this is where you'll see the Caucasian woman walking by at 8:47, 8:48. She's walking in engineer light. This is light activity and relevant positioning. Crossing paths, just like in a vehicle, crossing paths, just like in an aircraft, is the stalking conduct. That's committed as an entity, as opposed to one person that's following you around perpetually. The gang stalking is maintained and executed as an entity. They're all surrounding you and doing so. When it's in a building, they're doing so as I walk to the restroom, as I sit, and they're going in and out of the restroom as a means of surrounding. It's not about relieving themselves under the fake sun and an engineer light. That, by the way, is touching all of my property while I'm on the inside of a building. And vehicles are outside, driving north and south on Euclid Avenue. And that is, and I've captured this on video, so that's what they're doing, stalking with light, and you're looking at them maintain a face of being concerned with something else. That's psychopathic, okay? And it's also delusional. The entities engaging in what is stalking me with noise, this is what Amelia and Brian, Saul, ALAYNA are. Alana's not here yet. Alana is the other one stalking with light yesterday morning at 6:51 a.m. And it's 9 o'clock. The sun in the natural environment is not still going to be at the same venue. This is where the third party Tracy Banks, who represents a threat to my life, safety, and my property, which again, she's coming and giving food, but she still has not told me about property that she conspired to steal from me with her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, which she still hasn't admitted that she's had sex with, a sexual relationship with. She forgot to mention all of that when she's engaging in defamation and making up stuff that's not true, but the stuff that is true, like the fact that she has a secret conservatorship, that's something that she has never spoken of before. Her sexual relationship with Jason Isaac Fields, let alone ever meeting him, that's something that she's never spoken of before. The fact that she's gang stalking for the purpose of property that I know nothing about, that's in my name, that belongs to me. That's something that she's never spoken of about when she's coming around unsolicited in the specific environment, gang stalking me, aware of the details that I'm revealing, like the fake sun, where the Ontario Police are gang stalking at 8:49 on May 8, 2025, where you will see the Ontario Police Department exhibiting severe mental illness, that ongoing documented pattern that you've seen while I have been documenting the Ontario Police gang stalking me every day, and also through the hallmark of what is helicopter, flying in circles. These are psychopaths, pacing, and doing it in a helicopter. That's just it's like underscoring it and highlighting it for you to see if you are doubting mental illness, and if you're doubting stalking by that department, you're not reasonably doubting it. Okay, not only are they stalking, they're stalking by virtue of the evidence of a supernatural environment that remains around me while they're always arriving in helicopter, following in helicopter. They engage in this psychopathic pacing conduct. They fly in circles all around me while the fake sun is over the top of my head. At the same time, that's happening on May 8th in 2025 at 8:49 a.m. The entity has the fake sun here before 8:49 a.m. at the Starbucks, and it's still here, and it's remaining also in contravention to what is that at Woodside. The entity kept the fake sun over that apartment building from sunrise until sunset. And that's exactly what LAPD did when I was being gang stalked at Alvarado Gardens, where the entity, Tracy Banks, would rely on the criminal conduct of the government and what is a criminal act of a fictitious exercise of authority, a court case, that's a criminal act by the state, that's gang stalking. Their court cases are criminal acts. That's how that's prosecuted. It's fictitious exercise of authority under the law that they don't have while they're targeting you. You go to federal prison for that. But that criminal conduct is what they rely on to create and artificially engineer mental illness. Oh, it's not that LAPD was threatening my life and I was subject to terrorism on the job. Oh, no, it's not that. It's that I cannot take care of myself. I can't manage the responsibility of living on my own. Hence, Tracy Banks needs to, through a secret conservatorship procured through fraud, while gang stalking me the entire time with that same government, to give over control of my property, my money. That's never happening. And gang stalkers who are delusional, gang stalking in the way that Starbucks is, this is not helping their cause. They've already lost it. So like I said, the entity is maintaining the fake sun. And this is what you're mindful of when you're hearing the third parties that are being documented by license plate. This is the entity that's engaged in an ongoing full throttle criminal effort, and they've already lost it. Not only that, I'm going to prosecute, and you go to federal prison for what Tracy Banks and her sex partner Jason Isaac Fields have subjected me to, all because they thought that they were going to steal my money in doing it. They're demons, and this is the work of witchcraft over a lot of people. These are demon-possessed people. It's not a defense in court, though. It's not a defense. For somebody to say, oh, somebody put a spell on me and that's why I committed murder, that's not a defense. That's an admission to murder, period. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and the entity is doing so at 507 North Euclid Avenue. And they are stalking and monitoring me and doing so with impossible light while they are maintaining a straight face. This is mental illness, not innocence and ignorance and just coincidental weird environment while everybody's around and nobody. No, the demons are delusional. And the entity is not only stalking with audible activity, that's what the employees of Starbucks are engaging in. They're stalking in the path while they're in the cafe, coming in and out of the cafe, pacing around the cafe, and they're stalking with light. Those are the elements of monitoring. And the entity is engaging in this while, with knowledge of my documentation. And that's what's significant about the moment that I grab my phone. You'll see this old white woman with a hat on. She is at that moment walking into the bathroom with regard to stalking with activity. The formula is that with simultaneity to what I do and as I operate my device, activity is created. Activity is being created as she's walking in the evidence of what is impossible. Light activity. Sunlight does not appear on the inside of buildings in the way that you're seeing it. It's flat on the ground. It's extending into the depths of the building. That's impossible. While you hear that background clanging, that's a demon. That's Brian, Amelia that are stalking with noise as I move my arm around. These are demons that don't have to look at you. They're engaged in this ongoing psychological torture, which they're going to be prosecuted for, okay? It's demonic as well. It's domestic terrorism. They're doing the same thing with this impossible light. That's also psychological torture, which I have that on video as well. This impossible light activity is also flying in the air in addition to being flat on the ground. None of that is a product of sunlight. This is the crime scene where criminal monitoring is underway, and also with the unintelligent pattern of conduct, it is the plain evidence, it is the admission of the unintelligent entity that never anticipated exposure that they're monitoring. And monitoring is pursuant to criminal surveillance, which is happening not only in relevant position, like the gang stalkers are showing, they're all stalking me, but they're also engaging in surveillance on your communication device, and they engage in their pattern of conduct at the same time that I use my phone, same time I upload something on the internet, meaning they know exactly what you're doing online, they know what you're doing on your devices, and that's pursuant to criminal surveillance. It's criminal, and it's all state action, okay? So the entity is engaging in this, and it's relevant that Tracy Banks arrives and gives me food that I don't call her, I don't ask her for anything. And one day she's got a personality, and the next day she's got another personality, and that's why I document Satan, because Satan is a lying psychopath, and thought that, but again, even in the face of evidence, she's delusional. Okay, that in the face of evidence that, but I want to be clear, delusional, but this is, again, counting on the corruption of the court, counting on her spell work being effective, counting on the sex rituals, counting on voodoo and black magic to be effective, and it's not. I'm exposing all of that, and I'm going to get justice. But the delusional behavior is based on their faith in the maintenance of illusion. So she thought that witchcraft, she thought that Satan was going to prevail, and he's not. Satan's being exposed, Satan's being prosecuted. All right, so anyway, it's currently 9:07 a.m. The entity is going to keep the fake sun. A couple of things, pay attention. At 10 a.m., the fake sun is on June 25th over the University of Laverne, where the Ontario Police are engaged in criminal summoning. So is the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and so is the Ontario International Airport that is gang stalking, flying over the Ontario City Hall, where I'm capturing that video on June 25th at 10 a.m. The entity is going to keep the fake sun today, June 29th, right here over this Starbucks, which I already documented, but I'm going to document it again today. Because when you have factual information, those facts are never going to differ. Because I have hard factual evidence about what is impossible to be maintained in a natural environment. And this isn't even getting into what LAPD is doing in the environment that I'm surrounded by, okay? And that's not even getting into when I'm going to San Diego, and when I'm going to Kern County in Bakersfield, and what I'm documenting in Pasadena, and what I'm documenting in Orange County, and at Newport Beach in Costa Mesa, California. The entity is surrounded by evidence, and all they do is laugh as though it's not happening. Those are the demon possessed that are delusional, and they're already already defeated. Satan is already defeated. So now they're just stalking me because they've been obsessed with me from the beginning. This is idolatry. This is worship of me. And this is because of their condition. These are demons. All right, I want to be clear also, 10:24 a.m., the entity has the fake sun over me when I'm at Euclid Avenue and D Street, and third party with license plate 00045E4 is gang stalking in that black pickup truck. When I'm at the intersection of D Street and E, the entity is going to have the fake sun right here over the Starbucks at 10:24 a.m. when I am already en route to the Ovid Family Community Library yesterday. At 10:30 a.m., the fake sun is over me as I'm walking toward the Ovid Family Community Library, and I'm at the parking garage at the downtown Ontario airports, which is again feet away from where the Ovid Family Community Library is. That same parking garage where I'm present at 10:13 in the morning inside of that parking garage, and like what Starbucks is surrounding me with, the supernatural environment where light is not on the ground, which it would never be inside of a parking garage because the sun is above the building, outside of the building. And so it's going to be shade inside of that parking garage. It was even worse than that, more obvious, in other words, more damning, incriminating. It was on the ceiling inside of that parking garage. This is the light activity that the demon possessed that are wearing button-down shirts are gang stalking in, okay? While they're sitting around laptops and books like you're supposed to think that Satan actually believes in the Bible and that Satan is not a gang stalker. You're not going to be deceived by the illusions, and they're unpersuasive and unintelligent illusions, okay? And that's exactly what I am dissolving and destroying in federal court when I prosecute the demon possessed for engaging in the demonic system of gang stalking, federal group stalking and monitoring, which is state action. The government is engaging in this throughout the country. Because I want to be clear, if California is doing it, you have little hick states that are engaging in this in corners of this country and nobody knows about it. People are suffering and nobody knows about it. If the big state of California is engaging in this, everybody else is. And you also know that's the case because it's happening in the specific environment. And where the entity engages in the asininity, the documented asininity of keeping a fake sun over one building like Starbucks is engaging in, while unintelligent demon-possessed defendants come inside and engage in what are purchasing drinks, incriminating Starbucks. That's relevant for a RICO case. And doing so under a fake sun, they are letting you know that you're not in the natural environment either. And why? Because the sun is an exclusive light source that's not sitting over one building all day long. And if it's sitting over me all day long and that's the natural environment, then that means somebody's under a fake sun. And actually, that would be both of us, all of us, because the sun doesn't sit over one building non-moving in a non-moving manner. From the beginning until the end of the day, of the east side of the building to the west side of the building, and that's only if I stay inside and don't go to the back side, because in the morning, if I go to the back side, like I already did, that fake sun goes to the side of the building where it's at 7 in the evening. This is very highly unintelligent. Okay, Satan was never prepared for any logic, any common sense, science, and a common sense level of scrutiny, let alone the scientific capabilities of agencies that can look into the things that I've exposed about the state of California. Okay, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and it was designed to be kept a secret because it's highly idiotic. Very, very idiotic, okay? And the entity is engaging in this P.O.C., and the body of evidence is demonstrating what is a straightforward prosecution with regard to justice that I'm fully entitled to. And also with regard to this idiotic system, it's justice also that the laws change, because no group of imbeciles should ever be able to artificially engineer mental illness when they're stalking, because that's exactly what is proven by a government that's under a whole illusion of an environment where they're not strangers, they're engaged in surveillance, and they're targeting someone, and they're targeting and trying to defame their character in order for whatever it is that they want. It could be just because that they're a believer. It could just be because they're an exceptional person in one way or another, gifted in one way or another, or they have money, property, something that the government wants. And the government's typically going to be engaged in this when it's a large sum of money, when it's a lot of property, something that the government is interested in. But there is always some benefit to be derived. That's the point. But it's under all circumstances unlawful, and it's state action. Do not be deceived. It's not just these unintelligent imbeciles sitting inside of this cafe with clearly no life and nothing else to do. They're doing so on behalf of the state. And that's exactly how they're going to be prosecuted, terrorists. It's currently 9:13 a.m. And I want to point out one more other detail. At 10:35 a.m. yesterday, June 28th, the fake sun is over me at the Ovid Family Community Library entrance. The entity's going to keep the fake sun right here over the same sidewalk at the entrance of this 507 North Euclid Avenue. At 1:07 p.m., the entity is gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department. when I am at the Ovid Family Community Library, arriving at 1 p.m. and the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking in the path, exhibiting severe mental illness, that level of malice, and very highly delusional. Unintelligent and delusional. That's a bad combination, because I'm going to prosecute you with your ignorance, okay? And with your malicious psychopathic obsession with me. And at 1:07 p.m. on June 27, 2025, the entity has the fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library entrance as I approach those gang stalkers wearing Ontario Police Department uniforms. And the entity is keeping the fake sun today. It's going to be right here at 1:07 p.m. And that's what you're mindful of in the prosecution of the state of California. Never mind the demons that are all of a sudden finding so many things to laugh louder and louder about. That's the delusion of Satan that tells himself it's not happening. He tells himself just ignore it. He tells himself that everything's going to be okay. And they go right into 250,000 miles per hour, right into destruction, right off the precipice. Okay, Satan is going to be prosecuted, and that's what you're also going to witness, not just the exposure, but you're going to witness a prosecution that's going to be both embarrassing, and it's also going to be life-altering for all those engaged in it. At 3:07 p.m. at the Ovid Family Community Library, inside, I'm at the staircase inside of the Ovid Family Community Library yesterday, June 28, 2025, and at 3:07 p.m., the fake sun is still over the same venue by evidence of I'm looking at the fake sun above my head inside of the Ovid Family Community Library. That's common sense. The sun would not be at the same address for me to capture it through the window at the staircase when it's over the entrance at 10:35 a.m. But nonetheless, this is the asininity that makes it a very straightforward prosecution for terrorism, which is identified through an environment that defies nature, where the demons are in a circus environment and the demons are engaged in stalking as an entity. And those demons are severely mentally deranged, and that's why mental examinations are built into the rehabilitation of that gang stalking community group state that's going to be prosecuted for federal group stalking and monitoring. But you're going to see the fake suns remaining here at 3:07. I've already documented it at Starbucks, but this is another day of consistent evidence because the facts are on my side. All right, 5:59 p.m. the entity has the fake sun at the Ovid Family Community Library entrance as I walk out, and guess what it's over? It's over that same parking garage that it was at 10:30 a.m. as I was walking toward the entrance. I'm still at the same entrance. Engineer light is underneath that far extending entrance walkway of the Ovid Family Community Library at 215 E.C. Street, number 1. That's impossible light activity, the same impossible light activity that they're walking in inside of the cafe while they're stalking. That's why it's there. The entities engaging one is keeping that fake sun at the Ovid Family Community Library, which is south on the same street. So the entity is under all circumstances stalking. Pursuant to criminal monitoring, you are stalking while you're monitoring, and you're demons. Only demons are monitoring. Demons are hiding in the bodies of the people of the state. These are demon-possessed people, and they're engaged in malicious criminal conduct that's highly unintelligent. Okay, so I just want to be clear. These are the timestamps where the entity's keeping the fake sun, and you can wear whatever you want because you're the same demonic entity. They're a bunch of psychopaths that worship Satan, whatever temples or whatever buildings that they go to calling themselves they worship Satan, and that's how you know them. You know them by their deeds. They're sitting under the fake sun. They're a bunch of demons worshiping Satan while they come in looking like they just came from mass. Okay, it's currently 9:17 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, Asian male, license plate. Well, let me get this first. 9PVZ871, 8WL850, I believe. 8WLC504. And this Asian male, license plate 97311F4, terrorizing me, stalking, mental illness, psychopath, walking in while I'm being surrounded with light that's flying all over the air, surrounding all over the walls and ceiling, while he's gang stalking. And so are the Starbucks employees. Remember, I've named them Amelia, Brian, Saul, ALAYNA, and the other one, she's giving Pippi Longstocking, less the braids, but shoulder length, orange hair. She is gang stalking. I don't recall her name, but her image is fully captured and her identity is not a mystery, but she's here gang stalking as well. All of the Starbucks employees are being as specific and detailed as I can with regard to a prosecution. 7NCM020, the population that's pacing on Euclid Avenue, stalking me as a population, and so is the Ontario Police. As I am reviewing evidence regarding the fake sun over me at the same time in Las Vegas, Nevada in August of 2024, which is same time of year analysis and also the exact same time. Ontario police that are engaged in surveillance are crossing path gang stalking with the people of the state. So I want to be clear, they're engaging in surveillance in real time, and that's also proven through their gang stalking conduct as the department in relevant position and also through the hallmark of stalking me in helicopter as I publish and document very damning evidence. The Ontario Police Department is going to be disbanded for their obsession with monitoring me, with stalking me, and the mental instability is also their disqualification from law enforcement. License again, that's 8WLC 504 and 9PVZ 871. The fake son is still at the same venue, 507 North Euclid Avenue at 9:53 a.m. This is P.O.C. I'm capturing it this morning on video at 7:49 a.m., but I'm capturing it before that. The entity is molesting me with impossible light. The fake son is still situated at the same corner of the cafe where I'm seated, not moving, where all the people of the state are stalking together. This is P.O.C. and Starbucks' business is facilitating the criminal conduct. So Starbucks is profiting off of it. Starbucks is the guys where criminal monitoring is underway, and that is relevant also for, again, a federal prosecution where you're not going to use your business to traffic drugs, to traffic bodies, and you're not going to use your business to engage in criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder and kidnapping, unlike what Starbucks is doing right now and what each employee is doing. It's currently 9:53 a.m. This is P.O.C. Oh, want to document molestation. As I document that pattern of conduct, the entity is molesting me with light, okay? That's the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. That's the psychopath that engages in helicopter activity as I document them, monitoring my vagina in the bathroom. The entity that's incapable of controlling itself, incapable of ceasing from stalking me, incapable from controlling itself from touching me, from following me around, including into bathrooms. So molestation with impossible light by the Starbucks Corporation and by every employee. That does include Brian, who's stalking in the past, Seth. You have ALAYNA and SAUL and AMELIA that are engaging in that ongoing molestation with impossible light, while they're psychopaths, very passive aggressive while I'm molested with light because they don't like what they know I'm documenting about them. That's relevant to the prosecution for psychological torture. It's also used for diagnosis and that prosecution. All right, it's 9:54 a.m. where the fake son is not over the Ovitt Family Community Library today. It's going to remain right here where the entity is engaged in criminal surveillance with the Ontario Police, sex offenders, and the demon-possessed that are being removed from law enforcement. They're being disbanded. It is currently 9:55 a.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, the entity is, it's 9:57 a.m., so I'm going to capture the fake son at 10 o'clock. Right now I'm walking, yesterday I'm walking south on Euclid, and I'm capturing the fake son remaining over me en route to the library. So this is the entity that's as a population maintaining presence in the path in that environment that is for purposes of the gang stalking conduct, which is occurring in a specific environment. That specific environment is entirely asinine, and it's demonic, and it's also the proof of what is criminal monitoring. In addition, what you're witnessing, like for example, when I'm documenting the fact that the entity is gang stalking, and it is where the entity is keeping the fake son, where I'm documenting the 7:49 a.m. fake son outside of my Arcadia hotel room, where I'm documenting the fake son in Las Vegas, Nevada, where Metropolitan Police are gang stalking, and that is not going to be in alignment to my person inside of the Starbucks cafe at 507 North Euclid Avenue, in the same way that the sun doesn't sit at one address like it is today from 6 until what is going, it's 9:58 a.m. This is the entity, and while it's remaining here, it's not consistent with what it did just 24 hours ago. This is the evidence of an environment stalking, which is demonic, and everybody in that environment is stalking. As I document that, you're understanding, you're witnessing how crazy the demon-possessed are. These are a bunch of wizards and witches that are running around flinging light all over the place, and they're psychopaths. They're very highly unstable, including as they engage in what is touching all over me with light. And this is the act of hostility. While it's monitoring conduct, they're stalking, it's direct evidence of it, but you're witnessing how crazy they are, how mentally unstable that they are, including while they keep their back of their head to me, and they're entirely stalking me. I am the reason for their presence, including the establishment Starbucks. How is that? Because it's not based on the business, the building being here, not the business, the building being here. It's about the fake son, the environment stalking me here, and that establishment, that environment, that community is going to be prosecuted for gang stalking. And that's what's so psychopathic, and that's what you're witnessing. The entity is flinging light all over my face as I document the fact that the Metropolitan Police are providing evidence against them. That's going to be used to disband the witches and the warlocks of the Ontario Police Department who like to cast spells and fling light all over the place while they're flying in circles all around me and pacing all around in police vehicles, being demons, stalking and engineer light. This entire circus environment is speaking to the Looney Tune minds. They're literally wacky, crazy while they're gang stalking, and that mental illness is put at the very forefront. That's how sick the demon-possessed are. Very highly unstable. Very, very unstable. And the stalking with light conduct is Exhibit A of that, okay? It's currently 9:59 a.m. All that's going on is, I'm gonna go get the fake sun right now. All that's going on is different faces coming in and out, and the setting remains the same. And they're all stalking. And this is, again, the entity that's surrounded with that evidence. And this is a tutorial for the rest of the country, for the world to witness. And it's the embarrassment of California that's filled with the demon-possessed. And this is the work of Satan, and it's showing how, again, Satan is only like a roaring lion. He is not a lion. He is not a winner. He's totally a loser, obsessed and defeated, okay? You're totally obsessed and defeated when you're being exposed for monitoring my vagina. It doesn't get any more pathetic than that. It's currently 10 a.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, you will see the image of the light source, the indicator of surveillance by the identifier demons, and you are looking at stalkers in their true essence, engaging in what is operation of their communication devices and the engineer light under the fake sun, and in concert and on behalf of the corrupt gang stalkers to be disbanded, the Ontario Police Department. We're at 10 o'clock today, June 29, 2025, and June 25th, 2025, 4 days ago, at the University of Laverne, which is again south of Euclid, south of the Starbucks. The University of Laverne is located at 1950 3rd Street, Laverne. Oh no, excuse me, College of Law. I want the College of Law. It's adjacent to the Ovid Family Community Library, but I'm going to give you the address. It is in the same plaza where the City Hall is at. So this is documentation of the entire venue. Paul Leon is gang stalking. The entity is gang stalking with the City of Ontario Library, where I'm documenting the fake sun that's still there yesterday evening at 6, where the same Ontario Police under the 10 a.m. fake sun at the back of the library at the University of Laverne College of Law over my head. And it is still there while the Ontario Police Department are stalking stalkers in their true essence in that specific environment, which defies nature. It is impossible that would be the sun, and it's impossible that anybody else in any other city and state and address in the same state, in the same city, is going to be under the sun while the entity engages in what is blatant stalking. And this is your ability to see the stalker in their true essence. These are psychopaths, and they are severely mentally unstable while they engage in flashing of light and stalking light and moving light all over the place, especially as they're hostile, and their hostility they also try to control. But again, the Ontario Police Department, they are literally the evidence of that hostility and that mental instability, the inability to control their gang stalking conduct on helicopter, which I always get on video, on podcast, and everybody else is being prosecuted for it. So the ND is engaging in this 10 o'clock on June 25th, 2025 at 320 East D Street. Behind the Ovid Family Community Library. The Ontario Police are stalking in plain view in the same way that they are at that same library at 1:07 p.m. Like I documented when I am approaching that same address, and the Ontario Police are in relevant position communicating an unlawful threat while they're keeping the evidence of their targeting me under surveillance after committing a series of kidnappings with the intent to criminally defame. They're going to federal prison, and their mental illness is proven through the maintenance of a whole fake sun, and their delusional conduct, their malicious conduct of stalking in plain sight pursuant to gang stalking, which is the malicious pattern of conduct where you're not supposed to be able to identify everything that they're engaging in, but you're looking at every aspect of it. And you're looking at the stalkers in their true essence under a fake sun over the Starbucks where it's been since 6 in the morning, and they're sitting around in a table. That's just one of them, because all the stalkers are named Amelia, Seth, Brian, ALAYNA. They're all gang stalking while they're preparing drinks to the rhythm of my physical movement. Those are demons that work for a third-party gang stalking company such as Starbucks. And all the gang stalking patrons are engaging in surveillance. They're psychopathic and antisocial disorders demonstrated not only through the stalking with light and the hitting with light, the molestation with light, especially when they don't like what I'm stating while they're stalking me. They go in bathrooms and engage in stalking. Okay, that's what mentally ill people do. And the mentally ill are engaged in the fully exposed system of gang stalking, and that is evident through a fake sun that's sitting over the same address, 507 North Euclid Avenue, and it is not the natural environment, that meaning that is gang stalking that the University of Laverne College of Law is engaging in with the Ontario Police, with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, with the City of Ontario, the Ontario City Hall. That is the headquarters of the Paul Leon, a gang stalking fake pastor who's engaging in state surveillance as in the position of a mayor he's disqualified from because of his exposed mental illness, his corruption, and this criminal conduct happening on his watch, this sexual perversion happening on his watch, this pervasive mentally sick conduct happening on his watch, which he's engaging in, which I document at 10 o'clock in the morning on June 25th, 2025. Fake sun over my head, and an event is the guise under which the pattern of conduct is underway. That's called malice. All right, you're paying attention, and so that's captured in images for you. 10 a.m. the fake sun is right over my head. You'll see the logo of Satan's Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where criminal activity, and that's why it's also associated with Satan. Satan is associated with everything criminal, unethical, perverted, demented, and as you're witnessing, psychotic and wacky. The entity that's engaging in this conduct and stalking with light and doing so. The demons of the Ontario Police, all they're doing as a police department all day long, they're driving in circles around me at the 507 North Euclid Avenue. They're stalking me. And the evidence of it is the fake sun. So it is currently 10:11 a.m. This is P.O.C. where the fake sun is remaining over 507 North Euclid Avenue, the Starbucks, and it is not a natural environment. These are not normal people, and it is obvious as you are capturing that environment that defies nature for the criminal purposes of the stalking population that comes in and purchases coffee from Starbucks. And then goes about their day maintaining ongoing activity creation. Relevant positioning is the stalking conduct. All right, this is where I'm located. Everybody around, including every establishment, is gang stalking as well. All right, it's currently 10:12 a.m. This is P.O.C.
All right, license plate 8 UCP 759 9LWG 210. And the entity is molesting with light, so be mindful of the entire pattern of conduct. And at 10 o'clock in the morning, I am at the University of La Verne on June 25th, 2025, where the entity is gang stalking via a large event that the University of La Verne College of Law is hosting, and they are engaged in gang stalking me. Imagine that. That's the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. It's proven through the supernatural maintenance of an environment that surrounds me as I'm in the presence of the gang stalkers, the Ontario Police. 7MLP 305, 8UQN 547, 7WOG 825. Frank and Janine are gang stalkers. 6HTM 852. License 5MTT 591, 5RZF 775. License 9GWW194, 7GNA 709, 8YLP 588, 9LHU 137. You have demons selling things out of their trunk while they're gang stalking because they don't want me to get their license plate. License with minor children, 6DKL320. That's a Caucasian female stalking me with impossible light on the asphalt while she crosses path, doing so in order to make sure that she's stalking, and she has minor children. She's a psychopath and a sex offender. License 8ZAB542. License 8RFZ661. 5VYU130. License 9SIH623. 6LUY999, 7LZM121, 5RCC317, 8SNK215. It's 10:18 a.m. Remember, at 10:24 a.m., that's about 6 minutes from now, I am at D Street and Euclid, where two Caucasian males are gang stalking me in a black pickup truck, and the fake sun's in the intersection of D Street and Euclid, and the entity is gang stalking. I'm at the U.S. Bank. I'm remaining at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is gang stalking, cutting off my path to make sure that they can keep me surrounded. That's what this demon-possessed mother, that's an oxymoron, is engaging in, and doing so, engaging in the terrorism with impossible light all over the asphalt, demonstrating and communicating an unlawful threat while she has children engaging in terrorism with her. I just want to be clear, that's a threat to those children. When you're gang stalking somebody else, that's a threat to those children. 7LZM121, 7SNS123, 9FFX 497, 8RTR652, 9JBU128, 9JPB499, 9FQJ316, 9NCU193, 9RAM360, 844YN handicap. The entity has a fake church over here. They're gang stalking, another oxymoron. Gang stalking demons that congregate in church is actually not as oxymoronic as you think. California is filled with the demon possessed who regularly sit their butts in pews while they worship Satan. And this is again
part of the delusional entity that's headed straight to hell, but they tell themselves that they're right with God while they practice wickedness and lawlessness and targeting other people and telling themselves that it's that everything is okay and that they're right before God and before man. Those are the demons that fill the fake churches in California. License plate 7BFX830. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:20 a.m. where the fake sun's remaining over me as I go to the same back parking lot. And that parking lot is that same back parking lot where I'm capturing the fake sun at 7:26 in the evening. American Medical Response is gang stalking, tracking my steps on Euclid Avenue, just like, and that's the city of Ontario, because they're contracted with the city, but not to engage in criminal surveillance, to engage in ambulatory services. And the ambulatory services that they provide are pursuant to criminal surveillance, 5YAK501. And it's really unsafe for the public to have mentally sick stalkers and criminals in the medical field. 48963P3. This is what you learned from gang stalkers of American Medical Response. The fake sun remaining over me and a demon stalking in the path, meeting. This is the P.O.C. It's 10:21 a.m. All right, these are the demons that are molesting my person, harassing, engaging in psychological torture together. Again, I read this license plate, but I'm gonna make sure I read it again. 8WLC504, just making sure I read it before I saw it before. I just wanna read it again. 9CZF788. All right, systematic engagement and federal group stalking and monitoring. Again, this white Jeep on an ongoing systematic basis, gang stalking, license plate. 8HNR252, license 8GKJ687. License 8ZXL626, 13604T2, 9JEL513, 14852L1. License plate 6UUA779. Those are the demons crossing path on Euclid Avenue while I'm being accosted, I'm being molested, I'm being harassed with impossible light because they are obsessed with stalking me and monitoring me. And they're also hostile while I tell the fact that they are stalking me and monitoring me, and also obsessed with my vagina. And then you have things such as light manifesting all over my face and all over my property while a bunch of psychopaths engage in what is conversing with each other. You're witnessing mental illness because you already know that they're gang stalking. And so this is speaking to the threat that you need to be aware of, because criminal monitoring is happening in the country, and it's happening in the way in which the demon-possessed, the mentally ill, are engaging in it at Starbucks. P.O.C. It is currently 10:23 a.m. I'm gonna get the fake sun that's remaining over Starbucks at the same entrance, the same logo. It's covering all of the prosecution of the state of California. The entity is engaging in what is stalking through the corrupt business of Starbucks, which is, again, exposing the state of California while a population is stalking, and that environment stalks that targeted individual. Again, third-party license 00045E4 is targeting me by stalking at the traffic lights while the fake sun is at that intersection, and I'm at the U.S. Bank at this time yesterday at 10:24 a.m. I'm going to capture the fake sun over the same address, 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the people of the state are gang stalking obsessively. Alrighty, the entity that is gang stalking is engaging in what is being surrounded with the evidence of that which is impossible to naturally occur, speaking to the malice of an entity that's targeting an American citizen with the criminal purpose to artificially engineer mental illness. And that's behind a population stalking you. And that population is actually mentally sick. These are psychopaths that are very much delusional, including as they're witnessing their demise and their utter and publicized failure in gang stalking someone and trying to falsely depict that person as mentally ill, when I'm highlighting every aspect of their mental illness, not only while they're gang stalking, but while they're gang stalking and witnessing, that is monitoring the evidence against them that's going to be submitted in court to prosecute collectively, to prosecute individually as an entity. The entities try to maintain what is untenable. At the same time, I am both in motion yesterday, walking from this venue where the sun does not stay here, because that's why I document it remaining over my head while I'm in motion, walking from 507 North Euclid Avenue, where I remain now. But at the same time, I am walking to the Ovid Family Community Library at 517 North Euclid Avenue. And that's the significance of my documentation, showing other locations where I'm at the same time, showing the fact that I'm en route I'm in transition, I'm in transportation, etc., to a different location. I'm remaining at a different location. This is the significance of showing what is the specific environment where stalking is underway. Gang stalking, and it's demonic. And its demonic characteristic is shown through, its demonic character is shown through the impossible maintenance of what it is that I'm capturing in evidence. The idle fake sun over 507 North Euclid Avenue versus the dynamic fake sun remaining over me while I am at the same time yesterday in transition from one venue to the next. And that's how I'm capturing it over my head. And if you look at my documentation, my pictures, while I go from here, Starbucks, to walking, I'm capturing the fake sun over my head at Gloria's Cochinas. That's on Euclid Avenue. I'm walking step by step, street for street, corner by corner, and the fake sun's keeping in step with me over the top of my head as I'm documenting the people of the state that are crossing path. That's the stalking conduct by a population who are engaging in the pattern of conduct of harassment as well and molesting with impossible light. This is what's tying that entire entity of what are quote unquote strangers, and they're in fact not strangers. This is the targeting system pursuant to surveillance that the United States is engaging in, and I'm exposing and prosecuting it in California. It is also the simultaneous failure of this entity to steal my property through a secret conservatorship and through a fake fraudulent marriage maintained by the people of the state. And that is those who are going to federal prison, which includes Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields. They also happen to be sexually involved with each other, and they're also pursuant to what is basically a mother and son dynamic, but they're both mentally sick, demon-possessed psychopaths who are obsessed with me, including through their sexual activity with each other, and they're targeting me in pursuit of money and property that belongs to me, some of which they've already stolen, for which they're going to federal prison, but they're also going to prison because the government that engages in gang stalking you, when it's solicited by terrorists like Jason Isaac Fields, sex offenders like Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks, this is why you are going to federal prison for that. Yes, the government is corrupt by learning of, let's target this person because they have this property, and we can get this. And gang stalking is how they do it. Gang stalking is something that's supposed to be maintained as a fallacy. And singularly maintained by those who are suffering from mental illness because it's not supposed to, it's not real, it doesn't exist. And now you're witnessing the delusion of the demon-possessed who are being prosecuted with very real evidence, which is surrounding them, and is going to be submitted in a very real federal tribunal, and they're going to be subject to a very real prosecution. The entity that's engaging in this delusional behavior is going to be diagnosed for the actual the very real mental illnesses that they suffer from. And it's akin to that which is psychopathic, malicious, delusional behaviors while they're engaging in wildly corrupt conduct, okay? So it's 10:29 a.m. The entity's keeping the fake sun at 10:30 a.m. yesterday, which was June 28, 2025. I'm at C Street and Euclid, and I'm standing in front of the parking garage / downtown Ontario apartments, and on that sidewalk where Wells Fargo, which is south of my person, is across the street, I'm looking at the fake sun directly over the top of my head, but the fake sun is going to be right here over the same entrance at 10:30, which is again the untenable maintenance of an environment that is conducive to criminal monitoring. When you're recognizing the specific environment, as I've termed it, that is where the police in that city are gang stalking you. That is where the sheriff's department in that county is gang stalking you. That is where the fire department in that city is gang stalking you. That is, or in that county, because San Bernardino County Fire is gang stalking as well in Ontario, California. That is where the civilian population, they're not civilized whatsoever. They're animals. They're barbaric. They're Neanderthalic. They are imbecilic as well. They're highly psychopathic and perverted sex offenders who are stalking obsessively in pursuit of, in my circumstance, money that none of them are going to see. And anybody that's stolen it, they're admittedly targeting me because they're accessing and stealing money that I didn't even know belonged to me, that did not even know existed. And this is relevant to the gang stalking conduct that I'm exposing by a bunch of psychopathic demons, malicious. All right, it's untenable to have the sun in the natural environment over both locations at the same time, but that's exactly what I'm going to capture, where it's not moving from being over that same logo at 507 North Euclid Avenue at 10:30 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, what else are you paying attention to? Not only is everything else that's covered in engineered light, it's not sunlight. The fake sun is a very unintelligent prop in the sky space, speaking to who's being targeted. The engineered light that's inside of the building has nothing to do with the fake sun, number one. Neither does the flying light inside of the air and all over the walls and the ceiling. And that is proven when you're looking at the fake sun that would be documented at the same time in Los Angeles, California, documented at the same time at the Ovid Family Community Library. When you're looking at things such as the parking garage where I'm standing in front of at 10:30 in the morning yesterday, And the roof inside, the ceiling inside of that parking garage is covered in engineered light. That's what's covering everything. This is a whole illusion with regard to this demonic environment where surveillance is happening. And it is this environment which is covered in engineered light and the pattern of conduct by the demon-possessed who are raging psychopaths. They are maniacal in their conduct of stalking together. They are in an environment, and their stalking conduct with this light is relevant to surveillance that they are engaging in. And that's how you know what's covering everything. This is ongoing pervasive surveillance, all right? And the entity is stalking in helicopters, which is the hallmark. And what's the malice behind that? Because the entity is using specifically aircrafts with regard to covering a lot of people at the same time. That's another malicious tactic when the specific environment is very, it's also specific because the environment is specific to who's being targeted. That's why I use that phrase. But the entity is engaging when it's flying over everyone, and that's supposed to also aid in falsely depicting the character of one that would claim, oh, helicopters are following me. Oh, yeah? How do you know that helicopters are following you? It sounds like you've got a little bit of paranoia, maybe a little bit of schizophrenia, because how do you know that a helicopter is following you around? That's the whole purpose behind gang stalking in a helicopter. But it's, again, the entity's criminal system is based on a whole bunch of false presuppositions, false logic, okay? The entity is doing so while they thought that they were smart enough to engage in that, but yet they're not smart enough to recognize it's an obvious identifier. It's as obvious as your fingerprints in the blood all over the knife when you are under a fake sun, where I'm given this level of second by second, minute by minute, day by day, year by year analysis with regard to how the natural environment operates, in addition to their engagement and admitting to being demons and malicious and gang stalkers who are engaging in supernatural behavior. When you have light flinging all over the place, and just because they look to the left and the right, that doesn't mean it's not happening, and it also doesn't mean that you're going to be removed from the pattern of conduct. In fact, that's the pattern of conduct to maintain that demented environment while your passive-aggressive presence and passive-aggressive activity creation is relevant to your mental illness while you're gang stalking. Okay? The entity is gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, who is being disbanded. They're gang stalking at the University of Law, like I captured on video, on June 25th, 2025. That's why I captured the license plates. That's why I captured their images. Every gang stalking demon wearing Ontario Police Department uniforms, they're subject to federal prison. They're an ongoing threat to my life, and they are waiting for a circumstance where they can pull the trigger and take my life and harm me in one way or another, and then claim that I am threatening them, and that's why they did it. That's the purpose of maliciously targeting someone, and it is proven through an environment that is untenable. The entity is keeping the fake sun at 10:35 a.m. at the Ovid Family Community Library entrance. The entity is keeping the fake sun as of 6 o'clock this morning at the same 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the people of the state are surrounded with evidence that is based on facts. It's based on logic, and science supports the evidence of the P.O.C, where you are proven to be stalking as a population in a malicious manner that's not supposed to be capable of being proven. And that's relevant for prosecuting the demons. That's malicious. It's done in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. It's currently 10:35 a.m. Alrighty, you can clearly remove the fact that the sun in a natural environment is going to be over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library at the same time that I'm capturing idle presence at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is the ongoing consistent pattern of conduct that I've been documenting for years as a matter of evidence since 2018, where the Ontario Police Department have committed a series of kidnappings and theft of my personal property with the intent to obstruct justice because of the knowledge pursuant to criminal surveillance that I'm documenting this very targeting system that the people of the state are engaging in. The entity is surrounded with impossible light activity, meaning it's light that has nothing to do with the evidence of what is also a fake sun. It's a fake sun, and it's also all engineered light while they're stalking in the path on behalf of the Ontario Police Department, the City of Ontario. This is documentation of the impunity of the Ontario Police Department, who is being disbanded. All right, this is the Ontario Police still stalking, and while there is more than 83 videos online of them stalking, and the people of the state that are stalking, they're stalking with the Ontario Police Department, and that level of stalking by a police department is intolerable under federal law. So they're not only going to be removed from law enforcement, they're being disbanded. Every gang stalking police officer, which is an oxymoron, is going to federal prison. They're engaging in what is stalking in pursuit of a circumstance where they can take the life of the targeted individual, where they can kidnap the targeted individual. This is why you're obsessively stalking. That obsession and that stalking is proven through the specific environment. where under all other circumstances, but for the entity being documented in the way that I have, I want to be clear, the helicopter stalking, that's traditional stalking. The entity has been stalking so heavily that there is a case there for prosecuting under traditional stalking laws, criminal laws, civil law with regard to harassment by the City of Ontario. The entity hasn't done that because it's pursuant to it's an integral aspect of the stalking conduct by the state. That's why nobody complains about senior citizens and the helicopters flying in circles over the old people's apartment building. All right, and that's why nobody's complaining about why are airplanes taking off over here over my house when the airport's miles away, and this is not what the city contracted when they make the planning and the agreement with the airport and where they're taking off from. All of this, these are things that are built into how the cities operate. This is, again, far outside of ordinary procedure, and this is a scrutiny that an investigation and exposure and facts that have never been expounded upon before. They've never been discussed. They've never been explored because the entity is corrupt. Nobody. That's why I'm exposing it. But it's very common sense. And it is impossible that the son is over the Ovitt Family Community Library, like I documented 24 hours ago, while I have not moved. And I'm at the same entrance at 507 North Euclid Avenue as I was at 6 o'clock in the morning. So that's over 4 hours, same address. And it's also juxtaposing crime scenes as you're able to recognize them. Because that which is over the entrance of Starbucks at the door is not over the entrance of the Ovitt Family Community Library at the same time. In the same way where the Ontario police are stalking in helicopter across the street at the Arco, the sun is not remaining over that helicopter everywhere that it's flying. It's remaining over me while they come and fly over me and fly past me, and that fake sun remains idle over me. It's the same way where the people of the state are coming in their vehicles, gang stalking, and then driving away. The sun you don't see floating away over their vehicles. It remains here at the venue. That's how I'm able to capture it for over 4 hours thus far. All right? And it is, again, untenable to suggest that anything else is happening, that everyone is moving and remaining idle like I am in different locations. And they're all experiencing the same sky space observations. The sun is over everyone, everywhere, like the sky would be. Okay, that's untenable, and it's also absurd. It's ridiculous, okay? So this is the entity that's, again, proven to be stalking in that specific environment, and that's exactly what I stated is the case. At 1:07 p.m., the fake sun is over the Ovitt Family Community Library entrance. Like I documented, the Ontario Police Department gang stalking me, specifically. And you're understanding what is the malice and also the mentally sick demons who are gang stalking as a whole police department, and they're being disbanded for stealing my car. They're being disbanded for kidnapping me multiple times upon stalking me obsessively and also manufacturing charges. Okay, so when you're engaging, for example, in an unlawful eviction, which is what the Ontario Police Department did on May 29, 2025, and then when I'm sleeping at the museum where you're stalking me at the museum, you do not have any basis under the municipal code. You don't have actual authority. You're stalking. So your knowledge pursuant to your criminal conduct that you previously engaged in order to create that circumstance where then you're going to exercise fictitious authority pursuant to your ongoing hovering stalking conduct to then engage in what is harassment pursuant to the municipal code, that's what the Ontario Police Department practice. This is how they commit kidnappings. They're going to be disbanded. They're delusional psychopaths who are worshiping my vagina. They're stalking and monitoring it. They're following it into every bathroom through the people of the state that are sitting under a fake sun, these psychopaths stalking with impossible light, these sex offenders sitting around under an entirely demonic environment while they're keeping their back to you, stalking you obsessively with their every move, every word that they say, which is activity creation. The demon-possessed are severely mentally ill, and that's why they are going to be prosecuted, not only prosecuted, but exposed for purposes of embarrassing them. This is to disincentivize this government system that's happening in this country. This is to disincentivize the population because they'll go to federal prison with the government. They'll be subject to criminal prosecutions just like Starbucks, just like Ovitt Family Community Library, just like Avanath Capital Management, just like Speaker Companies Incorporated, just like Omnitrans, just like Southwest Airlines, okay? The entity is going to be prosecuted with regard to their commercial means, making money while gang stalking. The people of the state just go and spend money at the facilitating venue where they're gang stalking, and that's government conduct. You're going to break apart that partnership. And civil and criminal prosecution, federal prison, removal from office, a criminal record exposing one as a sex offender and a terrorist, and deportation. These are things that help in that process. Okay, it's currently 10:42 a.m. The entity has the fake sun, as you'll see, uploaded to the Google Drive over the same exact address, which in and of itself is speaking to the pattern of conduct. But this is an ongoing juxtaposition of where the sun is not both idle at one address, ever in a natural environment, and then also at a whole other location at the same time. So it's both moving and both idle at one address. That's speaking to stalking with an environment which is demonic, and that is documentation for evidence of the government terrorizing an American citizen. This is P.O.C. License plate 40921X1, 11:30 a.m. License 9SED614, 1:04 p.m. License 8DSK251. And the entity is gang stalking via the people of the state. SARA, HARLEY, KATHERINE, Seth, SAUL are of the employees that I'm documenting engaging in what is ongoing harassment with impossible light, which is being maintained inside of the cafe. You can see the fake sun over the cafe at 1:07 p.m. and it is not over the Ovid Family Community Library like it is, as I'm documenting, the Ontario Police Department, who are engaging in a flagrant form of gang stalking, being in the path, awaiting the arrival, and it is awaiting as they are tracking my steps through the people of the state who are gang stalking at Starbucks. This is what the population is doing when I am en route from any location, in addition to the state that's stalking by plane and helicopter. And the Ontario Police Department engaged in a flagrant and documented pattern of conduct by being in relevant positions, stalking me specifically, as they are at the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library at 1:07 p.m., where three terrorists, because that's what they are, they're sex offenders, they're engaged in domestic terrorism, and they are gang stalking. And they're doing so while the fake sun is remaining over me, while I am in their presence at 215 East C Street at the Ovid Family Community Library. The entity is gang stalking while the fake sun is still at the same venue, 507 North Euclid Avenue, that it was during the 6 a.m. hour. I captured it at 7 o'clock in the morning. It is 1:07 p.m. where you will see the idol presence. It's in its zenith at the top of my head, and you were looking at the same exact Starbucks logo, meaning the sun has not moved from being at the same location, which is in conformity to the pattern of conduct. It is consistent evidence of maintenance of a supernatural environment where supernatural behavior, which is demonic, and domestic terrorism is underway in that demonic environment where a population is stalking together. License IUEC 18 at 1:12 p.m. at Starbucks. It's gang stalking. They are all engaging in, including Starbucks, the corporation, engaging in what is the crime of federal stalking under Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. They also are engaging in committing this crime with the intent to obstruct justice. So the entity is engaging on the demonic pattern of conduct of stalking me, molesting me, harassing and terrorizing me, engaging in what is also psychological torture, while the impossible light activity floats all around, including on my person and my property, like I documented earlier, on my face, as I am documenting, and the entity is engaging in this voyeuristic, this sick, and also sexually perverted, psychopathic pattern of sitting around watching the person that they are stalking. And the entity is engaging in this while federal stalking is underway. The Ontario Police Department that are under the fake sun, like I documented, at 1:07 p.m. at the Ovid Family Community Library, they are doing so with the intent to threaten me. And you witness the entity threatening me on video, which you are on a daily basis. They're flying over my head. They're stalking me in helicopter. They are engaged in a heavily documented and obvious manner of stalking an American citizen who has literally chronicled every single aspect of it. This is the mentally ill who engage in that provision of evidence. However, it is evidence that is necessary to prosecute for stalking. It's unprecedented stalking because it's the government that's stalking, and it's also demonic. However, it is relevant to the malicious pattern of conduct because the entity is engaging in this obvious manner of stalking and threatening someone because you are anticipated, you are expected to only look at the surface level. And the surface level also is incriminating to the Ontario Police Department. They're engaged in a pattern of harassment, as I am documenting it. But on the surface level, you are not getting to the system of the satanic targeting system. You're not getting to the relevance of the environment that is supernatural, as I have not left 507 North Euclid Avenue. But yesterday, I am remaining at the Ovitt Family Community Library as of 10:35 in the morning, and it has not left the top of my head, this venue, in order to be, again, which the sun is not, mutually at the same time, if it's not over me and at 507 North Euclid Avenue and south of this address at the Ovitt Family Community Library entrance over the top of my head at both venues at the same time, and also at both venues for the duration of the day, it's not over all of us at the same time in the same manner. That's not the sun, and this is, again, very rudimentary, okay? The entity is engaging in what is an obvious crime, and it is relevant to what the Ontario Police Department are doing while they are stalking in the path on video, like I documented on June 27, 2025 at 1:07 p.m., where they are exhibiting what is malice and impunity, and they are engaging in what is a flagrant form of gang stalking, stalking in the path, being there, which is a communication of an unlawful threat, an impermissible one under federal law, and it is a threat to my life. My documentation is one that is serving to protect myself and also to document to enforce my rights, but it is an unlawful threat, and any gang stalker that's a part of corrupt law enforcement agencies, they're doing so for purposes of committing murder, for purposes of committing a kidnapping, and again, under the malicious circumstances, doing so while they're exercising fictitious authority under the law, while they're, in other words, keeping you under surveillance and gang stalking in the way that the Ontario Police are on video, June 27, 2025, at the Ovitt Family Community Library, as I am remaining, juxtaposing that crime scene as you looked at it plain, and I'm remaining at 507 North Euclid Avenue as a matter of documentation to 7:03 a.m., 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, and 6 hours later, the fake sun is in alignment to me over the top of my head in its zenith, while the sun is nowhere near the Ovitt Family Community Library. And this is where Harley and Seth and SAUL, the entity that is gang stalking with SARA, the demons who are stalking me with ongoing amplified audible activity as I walk in and out of the venue to document the fake sun. Demons like KATHERINE are making sure that they're stalking in the path, crossing path with me, as they're tracking my steps, as literally I am documenting them. This is, again, the impunity of the mentally ill psychopaths who are gang stalking, even as their system, their criminal conduct is exposed, and they're going to suffer consequences, and they're still stalking. It's analogous to the Ontario Police Department gang stalking on video, published on the internet via helicopter, and like the Ontario Police are doing on video, which is under no circumstances innocent. It's entirely lawful, and it's also that which the federal government is going to intensely respond to with what is required. Justice requires federal prison for this entity that sought to steal my property by seeking to artificially engineer mental illness on paper by gang stalking me and criminally defaming me by making up information about mental illness that doesn't exist. And ironically, the mental illness of the gang stalker, that includes the Ontario Police Department, that includes the people of the state, such as every employee at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, who are working and preparing coffee drinks while the corporation is profiting off of criminal surveillance, all right, with the city of Ontario. It is currently 1:17 p.m. where the fake sun remains at 507 North Euclid Avenue. You will see the details of what it is, the analysis of gang stalking. This is all relevant to what every other city, every other county, every other state, because I documented the P.O.C. in Las Vegas, Nevada in August of 2024. This is a prosecution of the entire state of California, where I give you a breakdown of the entity that's engaging in conduct that is irreconcilable. And while they are in an environment proven to be stalking one person, while that environment is following that American citizen, which is domestic terrorism, it's psychologically harmful. It's also a threat to your life and your well-being. It is done in furtherance of committing murder and kidnapping via criminally defaming that targeted individual. It is currently 1:18 p.m. This is P.O.C. Molesting with impossible light activity. This is a short Caucasian male with a white t-shirt and khaki shoes and pants. License 09571E4 and license DF69V34. They're both driving big black trucks, and they're wearing white t-shirts entering into Starbucks at 1:39 p.m. The fake son is still here. They're engaged in that ongoing sex offense, the terrorism, in concert with the demons that are sitting around stalking inside of the cafe. So you've got, again, another group of demons sitting in front of me, stalking in the path. They do this while I upload documentation. Someone will come and sit, somebody, and then they're taking shifts. So somebody is replacing another. The entity is engaging in this. The moment that I am uploading, somebody is always seated in the cafe. And also in close proximity. This is the entity that, again, the employees are being prosecuted, the corporation is being prosecuted for what it's facilitating, while the entity is engaging in a massive sex offense. They're all engaged in monitoring my vagina, the sex offense inside of the bathroom as well. The entity is engaging in coming in and purchasing a drink. So Starbucks, the corporation, is entwining its business into the criminal act of gang stalking. And that's what's relevant to everybody that's in the cafe, everybody that's coming in and out of the cafe, doing so while they are profiting from gang stalking, which is state action. Starbucks is not a private company. It's a third party under the federal laws prosecuting domestic terrorism by the state. It's currently 1:40 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, ongoing terrorism by the two Caucasian males. They're driving the two black trucks, the license plates that I recited. And this is relevant to knowledge that the demon possessed, the people of the state, the entity that's gang stalking, maintain while you're simultaneously documenting them. They're simultaneously monitoring. This ongoing obsession is in real time. The ongoing obsession with what is being exposed as well, and still gang stalking, which is relevant to the prosecution of every sex offender that's going to be prosecuted. They were persisting in the criminal pattern of conduct in furtherance of an unlawful objective while they were monitoring every second of the evidence that was accumulated against them. And this is the two Caucasian males stalking me with impossible light, touching all over my body while they are stalking in the path, going outside of the Starbucks. They're at the sidewalk. And the entity is, again, remember, engaging in passive-aggressive conduct. So a demon stands in the path while they're co-defendants. In other words, it's group conduct, and they're all demons. So one will keep their back to you. They don't even have to address you while you're being targeted with impossible light activity, which is an act of violence. It's also an act of terrorism because the entity is engaging what is targeting you while not moving, lifting a finger. And this is also why the entity presupposes that they can be in your face, which is an unlawful threat. As you're analyzing gang stalking, you're analyzing the demonic behavior, the demonic environment, and the malice and the obsession inherent in that psychopathic conduct. Now, these license plates, I want to be clear, they're attacking me, and this is violence that Starbucks is going to be prosecuted for. The entity is engaging in this under the fake sun that's remaining over me. Remember, it's not just Ontario. I am using where I am yesterday, which I am at the Ovid Family Community Library. So this is not the sun that would, number one, remain over one address. We're at from 7 to, it's currently 2:09 p.m., but we could just do 7 to 1:07 p.m. That's 6 hours. That's clearly the pattern of conduct where demons are aware that they're being documented as well, while criminal surveillance on my communication devices, in other words, remains underway. And the entities engaging in violence by accosting, ongoing molestation, while a bunch of psychopaths look to the left and right, keep their backs to you while they're stalking you, okay? And they're molesting you and violating you with light. That's, again, something that is supernatural. In other words, something that is inexplicable as well, and it is equally harassing and terrorizing and psychologically harmful. It's also going to be prosecuted with regard to the mens rea, the mind state behind that, which is the unlawful touching, that which is done as a means of retaliation, as a means of inflicting harm, as a means of harassing you, as a means of a quote-unquote response as you document the stalker. This is what these Caucasian males are doing, going to their black trucks, which is in alignment to me while they're on the sidewalk outside. The demon sitting at the table in a relevant position to me. These demon-possessed females are maintaining conversation, which is audible activity, while impossible light is touching all over me, and doing so while I'm also pulling up documentation that you are always cognizant of. It's not just about Ontario. What the city of Los Angeles is engaging in on this day in 2024 is letting you know that these are psychopaths sitting in front of me at this table. These are psychopaths that are preparing coffee drinks, working at the venue. These are psychopaths that are targeting me while they are stalking, and they're hostile that their stalking conduct is being exposed. And this is coming in the form of my being molested with impossible light activity. Engaging in demonic activity is not going to be something that's going to be disregarded in federal court. This is terrorism, and it's the government conduct, and it's entirely malicious, and people are going to federal prison for it. But I just want to be clear, it's pursuant to criminal monitoring. So the entity is engaging in what is surveillance, and this surveillance includes the demonic act of terrorizing you with impossible light while you are subject to that surveillance system. And it is in the form of the demons that are stalking along the curb outside of Starbucks where the fake sun is at the 6th hour, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. Yeah, the 6th hour, it's now 2:11. But I'm documenting when I'm capturing the 1:07 p.m. fake sun. And these two white males. This little shorty doo-wop walks in, driving a truck that's bigger and taller than him. This is why he's stalking a woman. This is why he's engaging in sexual violence, molesting me while doing it with no hands and keeping his back to me, like the cowards who are the demon-possessed, gang stalking of all races, by the way, and doing so while I'm documenting LAPD sharing in that criminal engagement, which is what he and everybody else is sharing, including the city of Ontario. At 1:08 p.m. on June 29, 2024, the entity is gang stalking me. LAPD is following me as I'm driving from Alvarado Gardens to Chase Bank. This is at 1600 Vermont Avenue. And at 4400 Sunset Boulevard, the fake sun is directly over the top of my head in the same manner that it is as it's remained here today at Starbucks in Ontario, California, where the sun is, first of all, never going to remain idle over one address like I'm documenting. And these delusional psychopaths are surrounded with that evidence. It's an inevitable, straightforward prosecution. In addition to that, in a natural environment, the sun is going to be engaging in, that is present, the ecological address, the ongoing behavior of the sun, substantially similar to what happened a year ago, including at the same time. And this is far deviating from any natural environment, not only because it's idle over one Starbucks, but because it's in an entirely different region, and LAPD is stalking me specifically, as you are able to recognize the malice of the Ontario police that are gang stalking me on June 27, 2025 at 1:07 p.m. at the Ovid Family Community Library, where the LAPD are gang stalking by stalking in helicopters at 1:08 p.m. on this day in 2024, where the entity is stalking by helicopter, that's crossing path, that's stalking as an entity, using helicopters, where they are engaging in the psychologically harmful method of stalking in a manner that's so malicious that it's not supposed to be readily identifiable. The entity does this to falsely depict the character of the targeted individual. The entity is ironically demonstrating mental illness, and that is going to be relevant for the diagnosis and the prosecution of the gang stalker, which includes LAPD and the Ontario police, who are gang stalking with Starbucks, every Starbucks employee, and the demon possessed, which includes these two white males and a third party seeking to flee the scene as these demons are keeping me under surveillance and tracking my steps. That is, this demon in a gray Infiniti drives off as I get up from my seat, and I'm capturing the fake sun that remains while he is at E Street and Euclid, where the fake sun has not exceeded beyond E Street and Euclid, remaining over 507 North Euclid Avenue, where Sarah is terrorizing with amplified audible activity, where Seth is stalking with impossible light activity, where Katherine is pacing all around like a psychopath, stalking me, tracking my steps inside of the cafe, and doing so pursuant to the fake sun that's remaining over her where she's working, which is the basis of federal prison, okay? I want to be clear, at 1:08 p.m. on this day in 2024, the LAPD is engaging in unprecedented criminal conduct. They're engaging in the outward demonstration of mental illness while they engage in what is flying in circles, this demonic pacing, and they do so over the bank where I'm a patron in Los Angeles on this day, while they are following me, stalking me from place to place, which is shown through what is the fake sun that's not in Ontario. It's not in alignment to me inside of the cafe on Euclid Avenue in a natural environment. It is not remaining over the same venue, the cafe at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and maintaining presence even yesterday over the Ovid Family Community Library. The entity is stalking as it's remaining over me at Alvarado Gardens. I get on the roads and the highways driving to my bank, Chase Bank, which is a gang stalker. JP Chase and Morgan is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring the specific environment at multiple Chase banks, where I've already shown the entity stalking me with impossible light activity, molesting me with impossible light activity inside of the branch banks, keeping the fake sun over the branch banks, and the people of the state are gang stalking, and guess what else Chase Bank is doing? Violating my privacy, violating a substantial federal policy while they're engaged in criminal monitoring, surveillance, while engaging in the banking business, meaning my bank account and everything that's going on and concerning my bank account is public information amongst the entity that's gang stalking. But aside from that, the entity is prosecuting itself while they commence in the satanic pattern, which is not a coincidence that Ontario police engages in that same thing under a fake sun that remains over me, flying in circles over my bank as I arrive at that bank and the fake sun is over me. When I'm documenting at 1:08 p.m., I'm en route to Chase Bank. And on Sunset Boulevard, the fake sun is over my head in the same manner that it is at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the demons are stalking with amplified noise through the wall adjacent to where I'm seated. These are demons that are going to be diagnosed as I'm narrating their criminal conduct pursuant to monitoring, and also their impunity pursuant to criminal presence at Starbucks, both while you're an employee, you don't have any protection, I'm going to prosecute you, and the entity is gang stalking by being patrons, maliciously gang stalking with the population that are stalking me with impossible light as I pull up damning evidence, which I am including for your viewing pleasure, for your witnessing the exposure of the demon possessed, the targeting system that Satan stalking practices in the United States pursuant to surveillance that we're all subject to, which is also what you need to know. It is in the description box of the podcast for today, June 29, 2025. The fake sun remaining over me at 1:08 p.m. while I'm at 4401 West Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles, California, 90027, where the entity has been documented maintaining the fake sun over Alvarado Gardens from sunrise until sunset. And as I get in my vehicle and drive to a different location, this is where you are capturing the stalking conduct, which is just underscored because you're also stalking while the fake sun doesn't leave the address, like what Starbucks is doing. It's underscored and it's highlighted when you're deviating far from that, and the entity is keeping the fake sun over my sunroof, over my car, as I'm on the roads and the highways driving to Chase Bank, which is at 1600 Vermont. Let me confirm that address, where the entity is gang stalking me when I am driving to the bank on this day in 2024. It is located at, yes, indeed, 1600 North Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles, California. You will see the Los Angeles Police Department flying in circles, just like the Ontario Police Department do while they're stalking me day and night in helicopters. These are demons, and they are obsessed with me, and they engage in this ritualistic conduct, which is very mentally depraved and demented, speaking to mental illness that is demonstrated outwardly as opposed to being concealed, where you are not capable to readily identify it. And that's demons relying on their badges, relying on their uniforms, relying on maintaining some deceptive appearance of normalcy while you're sitting in a Starbucks cafe carrying on conversation, which is actually criminal presence, audible activity creation, and light activity, while the demon possessed of all races are gang stalking me. And they're also monitoring my vagina, okay? Females and males alike. The entity is engaging in this conduct, and at 1:17 p.m. you will see LAPD flying in circles over the 1600 North Vermont Avenue at the Chase Bank, okay? And the entity is engaging in what is ongoing molestation with impossible light, which I want to be clear, Seth is subject to federal prison. SARA, Katherine, gang stalking with the demon sitting at the table in the middle of the cafe while I'm being molested with impossible light, and they're preparing cafe drinks. That's Katherine, Sarah, Seth, and Saul. They are stalking under the fake sun while they are stalking with also impossible light activity and stomping her through the walls while I am seated next to the location where also impossible light activity is flying inside of the cafe. Moving across my person, moving across my face. Excuse me if I can get past you here, please. Thank you. They're all sitting in and talking in impossible light, having multiple shadows, and also impossible light is flying through the cafe, as you've seen on video, multiple videos, and it's touching all over my person. Again, the demon possessed who are psychopaths are hostile to being exposed to being proven, and when they're proven, that's also relevant to mental illness and the mental examinations inherent to a prosecution for gang stalking, which is still gang stalking when your secrecy is gone and when you're going to be facing all of these details and all of these facts in court, and there's no mystery about your identity and who you are, and the ways in which that all of that will also be produced in court for a prosecution. It's currently 2:19 p.m. where the people of the state, the city of Ontario, this is Paul Leon, Michael GERKEN, Mike LORENZ, Alan D. WAPNER. These are the city of Ontario, those who are engaging in this egregious sex offense and this unprecedented violation of privacy, this criminal targeting conduct, and this public corruption that is shared by the population, and they are all demon possessed. Every level of government in Ontario and the state of California is engaging in the pattern of conduct that LA is engaging in and what the city of Ontario is engaging in together. That's how I have on the same day at the same time what is impossible, that the sun would remain over Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue from 7 until what is 1:07 p.m. and also in Los Angeles, where the entity is never deviating from keeping this fake sun over me, especially on this day when I am documenting on June 29, 2024, and the fake sun is persisting, remaining over me while this population, the people of the state, the demons, whose mental illness is exhibited while they're stalking and molesting and harassing you with impossible light because they're monitoring you, which is stalking and surveilling you. That's what's relevant, but it's also relevant to their sick minds. But they're doing so while the fake sun's remaining over me at the on the roads and the highways at what is again 4401 Sunset at 1:08 p.m. where LAPD is gang stalking in black and white helicopters, repeatedly crossing path over my vehicle while the fake sun is in its zenith over the top of my head while I'm in my vehicle in transit, okay? So you have what is remaining idle at Starbucks, and then you have what is a totally different location at the Ovid Family Community Library 24 hours ago, and you have what is a year ago on the same day, LAPD engaging in what is the pattern of conduct proven through that supernatural environment, which is where the crime scene of ongoing targeting of one person. And this is what the demon-possessed have engaged in, because Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields have sought to steal property from me by maintaining a fraudulent fake marriage to me while I'm being gang stalked by the state of California and furtherance of murdering and kidnapping me. And doing things like stalking with light is the intent to psychologically harm, and doing so in a manner that is who's ever heard of stalking with light? So it is, okay, necessarily the fact that you document that and prove it in order to establish that the entity is mentally sick and not the targeted individual, but that's fine. That's neither here nor there. It's already accomplished, but it's relevant to the purpose behind the pattern of conduct, okay? The entity is engaging in that P.O.C. and is doing so with the intent to commit murder, to commit theft of property that the entity has never told me belongs to me. While I'm being gang stalked by LAPD, this is what Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, the ones soliciting the government to target me in order to steal property, and steal property that they have never told me belongs to me and that they have already stolen and sought to get away with stealing. This is why Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields also belong in federal prison, in addition to gang stalkers of the Ontario Police Department, who are under the fake sun, by the way, at the exact same time. LAPD gang stalking me on June 29, 2024 at 1:08 p.m. The Ontario Police Department gang stalking me under the 1:07 p.m. fake sun at the Ovid Family Community Library, where I am remaining today at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. And in the natural environment, the sun is not going to be over all three of those venues at the same time in the way in which I'm documenting it, and it's zenith over the top of my head. And the sun is not in a natural environment also creating light activity that's creating what is this violence to my person, to my face, to my property. Also simultaneously occurring when I'm documenting the fact that they monitor my vagina, the fact that the LAPD is gang stalking, and these white males outside on the curb in alignment to me are engaging in what is violence because of the hostility of the demon-possessed, who have lost and secretly targeting me. And they've also lost because they're still gang stalking after I've established this, and this is relevant to how each and every one's going to be prosecuted, and to the prosecution of the government, the city of Ontario, that's gang stalking through the unintelligent imbeciles who are targeting at Starbucks, okay? So I want to make sure that this is all included in the description box of the podcast for today. And I want you to also recognize the entity that is gang stalking. These license plates include the gray Infinity is license plate 7PEG 805. This is targeting me with impossible light as I'm documenting LAPD with regard to referring to what the entity is doing today in an unnatural environment pursuant to targeting. All right, the fake sun is evidence of stalking. That's why you have it at the 7th hour over the same Starbucks. And this is why you have it impossible to be at the Ovid Family Community Library, where it remained until I exited at 6 p.m. yesterday, where the Ontario police are flying in circles over that library as I document the sex offense of monitoring my vagina in the bathroom of the Ovid Family Community Library. And it's not happening at the same time with regard to this environment. Engineered light, stalking with impossible light, is never happening in a natural environment. It's not the product of the sunlight, and it's not the product of normal, healthy beings who are not targeting you, not monitoring you, not mentally ill as they're stalking you, and Satan keeps his back to you. You're going to prosecute that psychopath for that psychopathic manner of targeting another person with intent to try to steal property from someone, doing it for money at that. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct with LAPD, all right? And so this is what's sharing why you're looking at psychopaths sitting around in a circle, practicing witchcraft, because that's what they're doing. They're engaging in what is witchcraft right in front of your face. They're surrounded with a demonic light activity. They're under the fake sun, which is demonic, and they're engaging in what is activity creation. They're practicing witchcraft right in front of your face, which is what the Ontario Police Department are doing as well. They're going to be disbanded. They're going to be disbanded for the violence that the people of the state engage in, for incentivizing criminal conduct and lawlessness. And this is shared pattern. This is shared criminal conduct with LAPD at 4401 West Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles. That's a YouTube video that's published, but it's also on my website. This is the P.O.C.wordpress.com. This is the crime scene where the employees of Starbucks are sharing criminal engagement in that pattern of conduct. And as you can see, mental fitness is also vital to working even at a cafe where criminal monitoring in furtherance of murder and kidnapping is relevant to the safety of the public. And you have what are psychopaths roaming free, working and having access to the public, where they are engaging in domestic terrorism with the government. And that's a national security threat, where the targeting system is happening everywhere all the time. All right, and so I want to document again these license plates of these. Well, two of them are Caucasian. I don't know the rest of the race of the other third party or the identity, because this demon, this coward, tried to flee the scene. So I'm taking pictures of the license plate as I walk outside, and this is again license 7PEG805, and that's captured in images at 2:06 p.m. And the fake sun is right over the same Starbucks where you hear demons creating light activity right now at 2:06 p.m. The license plate of the same Caucasian males that I documented molesting me with impossible light as they pull up to the Starbucks, which is what they're all doing as they're stopping and going at the traffic stops right here. The City of Ontario is facilitating gang stalking. The traffic lights is a means of facilitating and the pattern of conduct, which is with regard to what I'm doing. Okay, so the red light and the green light, based on whether or not I'm getting up to document or not, based on what it is that I'm doing in the bathroom, based upon whether or not I get up to go to the cafe and order something. The traffic lights are with regard to what it is that I'm doing while the entity is stalking as a population. They are stalking with impossible light as they are pacing by way of traffic. Okay, this is the entity that is gang stalking, and again, this is paper plate D as in David, F as in Frank, 69, V as in Victor, 3, 4. These are the two that you'll see stalking in the path. Well, by two, he is one of the two that you will see stalking in the path as I am walking back into the venue. Let me go ahead and get this and give you the timestamp of when I am capturing this duo gang stalking. White men, white women, black men, I don't even refer to them as men, black males, white males, Asian males, Asian women, Latino males, Latino women, all races are engaged in the pattern of conduct. And those that are natural born citizens and those that are not natural born citizens, those that are working for the government in one manner or another, that means even working for the water department, they're all gang stalking. Every single last one. There's no exception, in this specific environment is a proof of that. And also the criminal engagement in the pattern of conduct as I've documented, the city of Los Angeles sharing in that, okay? The evidence of the fake sun remaining over me while I'm in traffic, driving, like I am at the same time at 1:08 p.m. on this day in 2024, is the evidence of the population gang stalking. All right, and the entity is doing so with regard to knowledge that it's also being documented. So you will see the little shorty doo-wop gang stalking at 2:05 p.m. with the white t-shirt, the khaki pants, and he's got the same color shoes on. He is rapidly walking, keeping his back to me as he's walking to his vehicle, aware that he's being documented. And I'm just letting you know about what these demons are always doing. What is proven through the evidence is that he's engaged in the criminal elements of monitoring, and these are the ones that are stalking in the path. As you can see me capturing images of the third party taking a drink from his coffee. They're repeatedly stalking, molesting me with impossible light while they're in the path. And they're doing this while I'm pulling up LAPD's criminal engagement in the pattern of conduct at the same time on the same day. And as I get up to document, this is when the demons begin fleeing the scene. The demons are not fleeing the scene altogether. The demons are remaining in the path, including by the employees and all those that are engaging in surveillance by sitting inside of the cafe. Okay, but it's just those demons in particular that are fleeing with regard to my going out and getting their license plates. All right, but this is short-sightedness. The state of California is being prosecuted, and there's nobody. When I said no one is getting away with anything, that's exactly what I mean. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct, and the entity is engaging in this P.O.C. with real-time knowledge about their documented P.O.C. in real time while my communication device is kept under surveillance. So I just wanted to give that additional context. The document that is entitled Stalking via Light, it's a PDF, it's uploaded to the Google Drive for purposes of identifying many of the employees that are present who are pacing around monitoring, and they're doing so while they're collecting a paycheck from the third-party Starbucks, which is relevant for civil and criminal prosecution. And the people of the state that are at the venue engaging in the pattern of conduct is liability for Starbucks, okay? Starbucks is profiting while gang stalking is underway. Starbucks is going to be criminally prosecuted. And that's exactly how it's going to work with any real property where the government is capable to use your property, that you are, and you're simultaneously, you're living there and you're engaging in that pattern of conduct as well. You're going to be civilly and criminally liable. It's not going to be, oh, well, we didn't employ them, or we didn't tell them, or we didn't know. They're going to be prosecuted for what the population and the government, these demons come in of the City of Ontario gang stalking right along with all the other third parties. Starbucks is going to be prosecuted. Starbucks is headquartered in Seattle. Starbucks has a pattern of conduct by the corporation. Every single Starbucks documented gang stalking me. Okay, it's currently 2:30 p.m. This is P.O.C. at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun remains. as of 2:30 p.m. And this is impossible to be the case when 24 hours ago and a year ago, I'm in Los Angeles, and 24 hours ago, I'm remaining at the Ovitt Family Community Library, which I documented. Because this is what you're doing, you're necessarily doing when you are coming up against Satan, who is a liar and is, again, under the false idea that the government is greater or more important, and that position is going to supersede evidence, hard evidence, tangible evidence, and it's not, okay? And the entity is going to be destroyed by its own illusions and diagnosed by use of their illusions and their criminal conduct for what is surveillance. This is 2:31 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, this is documentation. Again, the ongoing harassing environment that Starbucks maintains while they are gang stalking. This is ongoing amplified, loud booming and banging heard through the wall. And the psychopaths that are sitting around acting like the engineered light isn't flying about are also doing the same thing with the loud disruptive noises that are heard through the wall, and also creating sensational activity in the seat, which is impossible activity creation. It's demonic, in other words. And it's as impossible, just to give context, as the fake sun that's still actually over the building as well. So that's how you know, or you're always testing the veracity of what someone would be testifying to that you've never heard of before. And it doesn't mean that it's not actually happening. That's the whole purpose of my evidence of the P.O.C. These are demons, and they're engaging in psychopathic behavior, and it's harassment that Starbucks is going to be prosecuted for. Harassment, and it's escalating to what is domestic terrorism while they're engaged in criminal monitoring, okay? The impossible light combined with the amplified booming and banging through the walls while a bunch of psychopaths sit around like it's not happening. The entity engages in gang conduct. So the gang acts as though it's not happening while the gang is gang stalking together, okay? That's what Starbucks is going, that's psychologically harmful, and that's the environment conducive to monitoring, and the employees and the corporation and the people of the state are being prosecuted simultaneously. It's 2:37 p.m. P.O.C. Alrighty, you will see the fake sun that is in position over the elevator, the staircase that is adjacent to the elevator inside of the venue of the Ovitt Family Community Library at 215 E.C. Street, where I did not go today. And I remain at 507 North Euclid Avenue, which is gang stalking. And it is evident through the pattern of conduct and the ongoing molestation across my breast as I'm documenting the demon-possessed who are engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct. Sexual violence is how the demon-possessed gang stalkers respond to evidence exposing them. Ongoing harassment is how the demon-possessed respond to evidence, probative evidence that exposes them. Ongoing domestic terrorism, stalking under the fake sun and pacing all around you is how the living dead, the demon-possessed, respond to probative evidence exposing them. And they'll continue gang stalking. This is relevant in informing gang stalking police officers how they're going to be dealt with under the law. This is informing federal policy, where the government is keeping American citizens under surveillance and gang stalking them in order to steal property, which is accomplished through falsely depicting their character, while the psychopaths actually are engaging in targeting American citizens and abusing the laws, manipulating laws in order to artificially engineer a circumstance where an American citizen is supposed to appear as one that is suffering from some mental incapacity that would render it, quote unquote, appropriate to give another person or another entity, anyone else other than that American citizen, control over and ownership over the property belonging to another. Because this is what this high school graduate Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields have conspired. A bunch of these imbeciles are all under a fake sun, and they're all stalking and molesting my breast with impossible light, and that's what they respond with regard to evidence that's going to be in court, disbanding police departments and putting gang stalking police officers in prison, and removing gang stalking mayors from office, and putting gang stalkers like Starbucks employees in prison and mental asylums where they belong. Stalking with impossible light is the demonstration of mental illness, and you're seeing a population share in that. This is also relevant to what is, again, being the first person to ever expose at this level public corruption, which is occurring throughout the country, because the fake sun that's remaining over Starbucks, it's removing the ability in any natural environment that Florida ever saw the sun today, because it remained over all the demons who were stalking and molesting my breast with impossible light while they're stalking and monitoring me and aware of the evidence that's incriminating and prosecuting all of them collectively and individually as they are representing one entity. The Ontario Police is being disbanded with the evidence of the gang stalkers that are Starbucks, the corporation, and the people of the state individually that are acting as one entity. Stalking in the path, they're surrounding at the curb area. This Caucasian woman in the black Tesla and the demon that's in front, they're both sitting there with their presence in the vehicles. The entity's monitoring on my device, so I maintained a list of every time that I'm going out to get the fake sun today, 10 a.m., 10:24, 10:30, 10:35, 1:07 p.m., 3:07 p.m. And the demons are stalking in the path, and they're engaged in ongoing harassment and psychological torture with regard to stalking with light, stalking with amplified audible activity, and engaging in what is ongoing obsessive stalking even in the face of what is evidence that's going to put the judges that are aiding in a fake and secret conservatorship in prison. The officials that engaged in conspiring in this, they're going to prison, while the entity is gang stalking and they're not stealing any of my property. And they're also going to be diagnosed for the ones that actually suffer from mental illness. But here you are witnessing the entity that is still engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct, which is relevant for understanding and recognizing the national security threat when you have actually mentally ill people who fill the population practicing this whole secret surveillance system that's no longer secret, and then you're looking at them just engaged in unabashed demented stalking and monitoring conduct when everyone can see it, and everyone is also going to be subject to a prosecution. Every household in Ontario is gang stalking. All the residents in the city of Ontario, whether they're natural born citizens or gang stalking immigrants, they're going to be treated in a uniform manner with regard to the impunity that I'm documenting. An entity is going to be treated under federal law in a uniform manner with regard to the violence and with regard to the impunity and the malice and the ongoing psychopathic level of obsession that the population has exhibited while it has witnessed its own exposure, and which is relevant for a prosecution in a court. It is currently at 3:15 p.m. where the fake sun's remaining over Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is where it was at 7:03 a.m. And where is it? It's over my head and it's in it. And where is it at 7 a.m.? It's in alignment to me on the side of the cafe where I'm at, where the entity is engaging in what is rising the fake sun, keeping it over the top of my head all day long, and then setting that fake sun where it is, wherever it is that I'm going. As I'm documenting in LA when I'm en route, the entity's keeping the fake sun over the top of my head. That's not going to be in Ontario over at Starbucks where all these gang stalkers are surrounded by evidence. Also, while I narrate the sexual violence and the ongoing terrorism that Starbucks is engaging in while I'm inside of its establishment, and I'm being accosted with impossible light while Starbucks is monitoring me. And Starbucks is not under any circumstances protected from a prosecution, civilly and criminally, with regard to the documentation of psychological torture and sexual violence. It is currently 3:16 p.m. The people of the state are engaging in surveillance via Starbucks, and Starbucks is also going to be prosecuted for that, providing a shelter for a bunch of terrorists to sit around engaging in surveillance and providing a way where a means whereby they can engage in that and facilitating it because they're also engaging in it as well. Okay, it is currently 3:16 p.m. at 507 North Euclid Avenue. The sun that's over Starbucks is not going to be over the elevator of the staircase at the Ovid Family Community Library, and also as I'm arriving at that library at the entrance, documented on record, proving it at 10:35. 5 hours later, the sun would not be over that same building to be seen in its zenith over the top of my head as I capture that fake sun through the window at that staircase inside of the Ovid Family Community Library. Both are all instances of stalking under the fake sun, which is where the entity is engaged in criminal surveillance, okay? Molesting and stalking with impossible light is evident with regard to the entity that is engaging in resorting to acts of violence, psychologically harmful in nature, demonic at its core, impossible light moving across my breast, okay? While their sex offenders are stalking by the thousands at Euclid Avenue and E Street, okay? It's currently 3:17 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, the license plates of the gang stalkers surrounding in the path, obsessive stalking is underway, including as I documented. This is license plate 8KXJ443 and license plate 8AUD810. They are together molesting with impossible light, which you will see coming toward me, which is a threat. That's a threat to your livelihood. That's a threat to your well-being, while the demon possessor is stalking you with light, which is characteristic of this gang stalking system, and it is to be understood with regard to the evidence of criminal monitoring. It has absolutely nothing to do with the fake sun. As you are witnessing, the fake sun's remaining over the Ovid Family Community Library yesterday at the same time at 3:07. Understand that the evidence of engineer light, which you could see while the third party, this is a female driving the red pickup truck, and the engineer light is thick bars that are appearing in the shade and coming toward me. It has nothing to do with that vehicle or the fake sun or reflection. These are demons. They have demonic spirits on them, and the light activity is actually demonic. Okay, it's supernatural conduct, and it is pursuant this demonic environment. For example, AI. Just so that you know, this is demonic as well. AI is the product of ongoing monitoring of human beings. and now you have the ability to think and function, less a conscience. And it's demonic. It's demonically derived through monitoring human beings. In the same way, this impossible light activity is manifesting out of nowhere while the demon-possessed drive by. That is, their persons are crossing path with me. Their persons are demon-possessed. This is demonic as you're looking at that light manifesting. It's not a reflection off the vehicles. It's not the product of the sun. That's not even the sun. And as I move, the entity is always following with this light activity that occurs in the dark. Okay? It's occurring in the dark. It doesn't have anything to do with the fake sun. All right, so this is the evidence of demons, and this demon is this red truck is being driven by third parties that are crossing path. You'll see me pointing my finger at it 3:07 and 26 seconds, and you're looking at the shadow of the building flat on the ground. That's impossible light activity. The shadow of the building, the cafe itself, is not going to appear flat on the ground, and that flat shadow, just like the engineered light inside of the cafe, the shape of the windows is flat on the floor on the inside of the cafe. That's also impossible light activity. So it's just the opposite, the inverse of what the entity is doing with concentrated light. This engineered light is creating the shadow of the Starbucks building, and it's just extending farther and farther into the street. That's creating an illusion, and it's an unintelligent one, that the sun has gone somewhere, and that's the cause. So the sun is somewhere in Florida, and it's causing the shadow of the Starbucks on the same street where all you have to do is back up and you'll see the fake sun over the same building. Okay, the demon-possessed and Satan are not intelligent. They're also not intelligent because when you're going to be prosecuted with tangible evidence of what is targeting, regardless of the fact that it's satanic, there's not going to be any, oh, I don't know, it wasn't my hands, I didn't pull out a light wizard, I don't know anything about it, I've never met the targeted individual, beats me, I just work here, or I just came here, or I don't know anything about it, or I'm looking to the left and the right like it's not happening. They're going to be prosecuted for the mentally sick pattern of conduct of gang stalking, which is demonic. Using demonic activity to psychologically torture someone to manufacture the appearance, the illusion of mental illness, it's domestic terrorism and psychological torture. The entity is going to be prosecuted for this which is done in furtherance of murdering someone and kidnapping someone, and that impossible light activity is a threat to the targeted individual. It's a threat to your life, it's a threat to your safety, it's a threat to your well-being as well. And the demon-possessed are obsessively stalking the two vehicles that are in the center with regard to where I'm going to stand at the entrance. They're surrounding as I walk outside, including by having the light red so that all the demons can sit there in relevant position, monitoring me as I document the entire state of California engaging in the satanic targeting system of gang stalking. The license plates, again, are 8AUD810, and the Caucasian female stalking and the black Tesla behind me is 8KXJ443. They are together engaging in molestation. They're together engaging in terrorism and psychological torture. And corporations like Starbucks are going to be prosecuted in a punitive manner because they have deeper pockets, and that's to disincentivize companies, the people of the state, from aiding the government engaging in surveillance. Okay. That's just a means of punishing what are companies that are making money off of targeting American citizens. Literally, Starbucks' business benefits while the demon-possessed engage in surveillance at this venue. But for me, they're engaging in what is a rise in their productivity, their sales, because the entity is focused on stalking me at the venue. So they're selling more coffee because this is where I'm at. It's the same with regard to being at a restaurant and buying food, being at 7-Eleven. Everybody will go to 7-Eleven. Everybody will be at the library, and all of a sudden, everybody wants to read and get hooked on phonics. Everybody will be at the Pizza Hut and ordering a pizza, and the entity based on that, it's criminal, and that's against public policy, and you're going to punish that. Okay, and federal policy is cognizant of that with regard to creating laws in order to deal with what is the reality of criminal surveillance and a targeting system amongst the surveillance system. And we're psychopaths who are going to be kept a tab on, maintained by the Department of Justice, identified, which is also why I document the population, the city. I document license plates because they're going to be documented with regard to the Department of Justice ability to identify anybody on a running tab of documentation of terrorists engaging in this pattern of conduct, which is it's like Megan's List, looking up sex offenders, because that's what gang stalkers are, being maintained on a list that the Department of Justice would publish because it's public information. The cities, the states engaging in gang stalking haven't been prosecuted, haven't been exposed for it, and the people of the state engaging in it. The businesses also engaging in it. All right. It is currently 3:27 p.m. This is P.O.C. Psychological torture by the employees that are pacing coming out from behind the bar, pacing by walking in the front of the bar, which is to be in alignment with me. And this is a communication of passive-aggressive psychopaths as well. They do this at the same time that the demons outside are pacing in traffic, which is where rich, concentrated, impossible light activities swipes across the wall of the rest of these demons that are stalking as well. Again, engaging in conduct as though they're oblivious to it while they're gang stalking as well. But Starbucks in particular, while they know that I am posting on my YouTube channel the juxtaposition of the fake sun remaining over 507 North Euclid Avenue, idle, still it is right now, and also where it is over the elevator window above the staircase. So Starbucks is with simultaneity to engineer light swiping inside of the venue. That's a demon, and that demonic synchronicity. The demons that are working for Starbucks are racking up a very serious prosecution it's unprecedented with regard to, in the United States, being exposed for gang stalking and all the ways in which it's going to be prosecuted. This is terrorism and psychological torture while employees are engaging in it on behalf of a corporation. They do the same thing with regard to the demon possessed that are, for example, pacing inside of the cafe as they walk by me, loud bang. All right, these are demons engaging in psychological torture as they're stalking in the path and engineer light, crossing path, audible activity. Engineer light, crossing path, and the ongoing audible noise because they're playing music. So noise is ongoing. And these demons that are psychopaths preparing the drinks, it's the loudest coffee drink preparation ever because they're gang stalking, they're monitoring. It's 3:43 p.m. The entity is doing this while I am publishing onto the YouTube channel the posts. Well, you'll see the fake sun images, and the entity engages in more violence, and I'm going to prosecute Starbucks and each of these gang stalkers. It includes SARA, Vince is here gang stalking, TABITHA is here gang stalking as well, engaging, so is HARLEY, and so is the third party. I'm going to add their images to the PDF document. And the entity is now adding the engineer light across the wall where the drive-through window is, and that's the engineer light that is on that adjacent wall that has nothing to do with the fake sun. They're demons and they show their demon possession. That's relevant to prosecution for gang stalking and monitoring my vagina in the bathroom. That's how that's legally relevant. And it's also relevant for mental illness diagnosis. It is currently 3:44 p.m. These are all criminal acts by the entity, the corporation and the entity working at the venue. Obstruction with the intent to obstruct justice, engaging in the elements of monitoring, pacing in front of me while engineered light, that's what Satan does. So this is Satan that's using these people, engaging in what is haunting, frightening, terrorizing, harassing conduct while they're monitoring. I'm going to prosecute for all of that, okay? It's an unlawful threat. It's 3:45 p.m. P.O.C. It is currently 5 p.m. License plate 9UCP680 9CGU233. The entity gang stalking, and gang stalking is pursuant to the ongoing ceaseless harassment which the employees are sharing in. The fake sun that is sitting over the building has nothing to do with the impossible light that you will see on the wall adjacent to the drive-thru window. The extensive cover, the duration of time of the fake sun is the evidence of the engineered environment where Starbucks is monitoring. Starbucks is gang stalking by itself, and then Starbucks, which represents the people of the state. Starbucks is gang stalking with the people of the state. The people of the state are gang stalking with the state of California, which is the city of Ontario. The light activity inside of Starbucks is direct evidence of their engagement, not just the people that are coming in gang stalking, but Starbucks itself. The impossible light activity is the evidence of it. You will see that's engineered light while they are engaging in things, harassment tactics, such as closing off the bathroom when everybody already knows that you're monitoring my vagina. The entity is captured plenty of times stalking with the Ontario police as I document that sexual violence. And as I document today, you have the entity, the employees that are putting up a sign. And again, when the entity is keeping the fake sun over the same venue as of 7 a.m., 7:03 a.m. So that would be, let's count together, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 hours, and the fake sun is over the same venue, while the entity is maintaining ongoing light that is relevant to harassment and ongoing terrorism by Starbucks, the corporation itself, that's engaged in domestic terrorism. So Starbucks is a gang stalker, Starbucks is a sex offender, so are the employees that are working for the company. This is P.O.C. at 5:02 p.m. Those license plates just represent what the entity is doing, maintaining impossible light that is also not only inside of the venue, that has nothing to do with vehicles driving by and the engineer light on the drive-through, on the wall adjacent where the demons who work at the venue are pacing, preparing coffee drinks. That's not pursuant to the vehicles driving by. Those are just demons. That's demonic light activity. It's as impossible as a vehicle driving by and light moving inside of the vehicle, moving inside of the building. That's relevant to what is a demon that's crossing path and monitoring you while that light is coexisting with their crossing path conduct, which is monitoring by, and it's demonic activity. It's pursuant to the elements monitoring. It's currently 503 at 507 North Euclid Avenue. The entity is maintaining this light activity while the entity is merely just changing faces, which is surveillance. It's the same entity, just a series of different faces maintaining criminal surveillance while I stay here, and the entity is keeping the fake sun here, which is relevant to all of whom, and what is the purpose of being at Starbucks, which is criminal. Starbucks is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It's currently 5:03 p.m. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:37 p.m. The people of the state gang stalking, you will see the engineered light that is on the ceiling inside of Starbucks. It's very demonic, very, very demonic. It's all over the ceiling, and it's also on the opposite side of the ceiling above the patrons. So it's above the ceiling where they are, where the employees are, where they're preparing their drinks. That has nothing to do with any car move. It's just light, just like inside of the parking garage at the Ovid Family Community Library. This is the pattern of conduct, and the fake sun is remaining at the same venue, which I'm going to capture as well. Remember, the entity's keeping the fake sun at 5:59 p.m. where Ontario police commenced to flying in a circle over me as I document them monitoring my vagina, which is what Starbucks is engaging in. Closing down the women's restroom is relevant to ongoing federal stalking, and it's an act of harassment while they are still monitoring my vagina. Closing down one of the restrooms, which is what the Ovid Family Community Library does as well, that does not make it more likely or less sexually violent or not the pattern of conduct while they're still engaging what is the same exact elements of monitoring, engaging in surveillance in the bathroom. And it's relevant to the entity that's focusing on, again, the superficial bases. Oh, we closed down the bathroom and that's why somebody else was in the bathroom. Nobody's monitoring anybody's vagina. The entity is delusional. The fake sun and the engineered light that's literally above their heads as they're preparing the drinks is the evidence of monitoring my vagina. 9MNX065, 7WLE186, EE60. This is paper plate EE60X37. And they are engaging in the pattern of conduct and doing so whatever is necessary in order to do so at the venue. When it is I am engaged in property management, the entity keeping the fake sun over Alvarado Gardens, then the people of the state are gang stalking me in the workplace by coming in and asking me about the apartments, asking for an application while they're gang stalking me with the LAPD, which is what I'm documenting on the same day today, which is what I've been documenting in 2024. So the entity is purchasing drinks, which is why Starbucks is subject to a criminal prosecution. This is criminal activity that Starbucks is using its business to commit. It is currently, by the way, 5:39, 7EOT 919, 9GUL 923, 8032431, 9HRN 357, 9APY 925, 8AVX 523, 7KOZ 7KOZ 048. And again, it is 5:40 p.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library. I've remained at the same venue. The address, which is 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is indeed engaging in gang stalking. And this is the evidence of that. This is the entity that's engaging in what is criminal surveillance. That's what's relevant to a fake sun remaining. This is to, again, depriving every other location in the country of having the sun over the venue of Starbucks. That's, again, nobody else is getting the sun based on the ASIN entity that Starbucks is clearly engaging in with regard to gang stalking, and the entity is literally pegged to that idiotic and obvious ability to prosecute them. And also, it's also the impossible light activity that's above their heads while they're preparing the coffee drinks, and in addition to the fake sun, that is 703, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 hours. License 9MNX065. They're gang stalking. Let me show you the covering where the demon possessed are gang stalking, and then you're mindful of this is all shade while they have the demonic light activity while they're preparing drinks, gang stalking me. It's 5:41 p.m. License 5FMX673. And the entity is maintaining the pattern. All of the people of the state that working at Starbucks engaging in what is gang stalking today. So the entity, with regard to a federal prosecution, I'm speaking to it because, not because I have to tell a court how to execute a prosecution, but because I'm informing, giving information as to how a demonic system like this, where you're engaging in a pattern of conduct, criminal conduct by an entity, and how that would be executed. You would have them produce the business records just like you would produce in any other criminal prosecution, because everybody that reported to work today engaged in gang stalking. They engaged in criminal surveillance. 8ZCF269 molestation, 9FU 386 molesting me across the street while I'm on the sidewalk in the shade. 8MJO 974, and the same with DC84083. That's a paper plate molesting me. That's how you know that they're targeting you, and that's how you know that they know who you are, and they are also demon possessed. That's also what you know. The entity, and you also know that because the entity has a fake son 10 hours over the same address, where the entity is engaging in surveillance, which is what 5FMX673, and every employee that is whose identity is going to be produced in a court in order to prosecute, because nobody's getting away with gang stalking an American citizen, in order to defame with Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, the state of California. It's 5:43 p.m. P.O.C. 8TBX 605, in case I didn't read that. Catherine. It looks like Harley. This is Manny. Let me get their names right now. Looks like NESA. Hi. Can I get a cup of ice when you get a second? A cup of ice, please. Oh, I thought your name was NASA. Thank you. Yeah, this is NESA, MAYO, Harley, and Catherine. Those are the ones in the front. The entity is also gang stalking, maintaining presence in the storage area. And the entity is tracking my steps. So everybody that's seen is who the entity wants to be seen. It's the same thing with regard to the people of the state. As I captured the impossible light on the ceiling, the demons immediately came in. When you see children, that again, the entity is very delusional. When you see children, it's not suggesting innocence. It's speaking to the fact that they include children in the pattern of conduct. But this is what the entity does. They will bring in old white people. What you would attribute to innocence, what you would attribute to somebody who would be the least interested in targeting me, because the entity is relying on the superficial veneer of the thing, the way that the thing looks. And you are going to ignore the fact that the sun remained over the building for 10 hours today. This is the entity that is, again, not prepared for facts and not prepared for what is a prosecution based on a consistent body of evidence, and is relying on, well, we're old and we're white, so we would never. Never mind the fact that the helicopter is flying over her every night. I mean, it's her, so we're not, of course not. We're a police department. We don't do that. That's what the entity is relying on. As I capture impossible light activity, a demon-possessed gang stalker runs in order to be on camera, that when they know that they're being documented, for you to see the faces of children. Those children are engaged in gang stalking. All right, it's currently 5:45 p.m. This is 507 North Euclid Avenue. The people of the state are gang stalking with impunity, and they're doing so with regard to knowledge and engaging in what is ongoing violence that the corporation can be prosecuted for, but it's also harassment as you're subject to the pattern of conduct, but also as you are documenting it, and the entity is gang stalking in the ways in which have been expounded. The entity engages in more. So as they are engaging in what is stalking you in a bathroom, I'm engaging in what is harassing you in a bathroom, the entity is engaging in more of that sexual violence, more of that harassment as you document it. That's the behavior of psychopaths as well. This is what the entity is engaging in while they are gang stalking somebody that is exposing it and documenting it. That's also relevant to damages. It's relevant to sentencing. It's relevant to the prosecution for obstruction of justice, which is again an enhancement to charges. It's currently 5:46 p.m. and the fake sun does remain over the same address. The entity merely has the shadow of the building, which extends into the street, and the fake sun has gone nowhere. Okay, and this is also what I'm documenting when I'm in Los Angeles, and the fake sun is rising in alignment to my apartment and setting in alignment to my apartment, my bedroom window in particular, where LAPD is gang stalking. And today, LAPD is gang stalking me where I live and work at Alvarado Gardens, followed me to the bank, flew in circles over me at the bank, over the bank that I'm a patron at, kept the fake sun over me the entire time to and from Chase Bank, and I documented it. And the entity kept the fake sun over 507 North Euclid Avenue on the same day, 365 days later, which is documenting the pattern of conduct not only 24 hours ago, where you can clearly see gang stalking as it is proven through a specific environment where the demon-possessed are engaging in what is a psychopathic targeting system, where they are going to be diagnosed as opposed to artificially engineering mental illness on the part of the one whom the demon-possessed are targeting. You can also see that as you juxtapose what happened a year ago with the gang stalker at the city of Los Angeles. It is currently 5:47 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is all evidence that is supporting what is federal prison for Tracy Banks, who is present, arriving today to engage in the pattern of conduct. She's gang stalking me while I am at the Starbucks, and she does so literally by coming and the excuses to buy an item of food. And it's notable that I'm documenting the fact that Ontario police are gang stalking me at the same time that it's over Starbucks at 8:49 a.m. on May 8th. 2025, don't forget that, because no federal court's going to forget it. And the entity that's stalking and harassing me with impossible light is speaking to enhancement as for the prosecution and for the employees at the venue who act with the same impunity of the population that's pacing outside while you're being accosted and harassed with impossible light activity with the population that knows exactly who you are. They're targeting with Tracy Banks, they're targeting with Jason Isaac Fields, they're targeting with the Ontario Police Department, they're targeting with the state of California, which is why LAPD was engaged in the exact same POC today as I documented. It is currently 5:48 p.m. This is POC. Oh, just to confirm, the third party's gang stalking on the job at third party facilitating venue Starbucks is NESA, N-E-S-A, MAYO, spelled M-A-Y-O. Katherine is still here engaging in the POC, and I'm also documenting HARLEY. And you can see the extensive covering over the window. This is getting to, that's relevant because it's absolutely impossible light activity. The impossible light activity is present because of criminal surveillance. That's why that's supernatural light that can never occur naturally. It's not floating underneath that extensive covering where you also see shade under that covering, but then on the inside, along the wall, on the ceiling, onto the opposite, where facing the entrance side of the building, you see that engineered light. That's the light that they've been molesting, hitting me with, and hitting all of my property with, and surrounding me with all day long, stalking me as a company, stalking me as with its employees, and stalking me as the population engaging in surveillance. And that's exactly what you're prosecuting when the entity is present amongst that engineered light. They're going to be prosecuted for criminal surveillance. It's currently 5:50 p.m. This is POC. All right, psychopaths engaging in hitting with light because they are too fearful to say anything about how exposed they are, and all for collectively monitoring my vagina, because that's what you're looking at inside of the Ovitt Family Community Library, where they are stalking in the bathroom. Because if that's not the sun that's over the Ovitt Family Community Library, which it could not be, just like this could not be the natural environment, as it's over 10 hours over the same building, and demons resort to hitting you with light. That's the demonstration of severe mental illness that's shared by all of them that are stalking together. But you know that because they're all stalking one person together. The entity comes and sits close around me, comes and adds in space around as the entity is engaging in what is physically accosting with light activity. This is what Mayo, HARLEY, NESA, and you have Katherine engaging in. The corporation Starbucks is going to be prosecuted in addition to the people of the state. All right. It is currently 5:54 p.m. This is the ongoing violence by psychopaths who are violent sex offenders, indeed monitoring the genitalia in private spaces, which is entirely illegitimate interest of a government. But this is why demons are to be removed and also appropriately labeled as sex offenders engaging in the system of gang stalking, as Starbucks has clearly proven on yet another day where the sun set over the building for 11 hours. I'm getting it at 5:50 p.m., capturing screenshots of the fake sun that's remaining at the Ovitt Family Community Library at 6 p.m., which is the response with regard to violence that the people of the state engage in. And this is what is disbanding the Ontario Police Department. It's clearly, as you see that fake sun, this is what the people of the state are engaging in with that demon-possessed department that's engaging in kidnapping, engaged in what is ongoing surveillance of me and my genitalia, okay? This is POC. Katherine's engaging in violence. Mayo's engaged in violence. He's a Latino male. So is HARLEY. She's a Caucasian female. She's engaged in violence. And so is Katherine, engaged in violence. And I believe Vince is the demon-possessed so-called quote-unquote lead. At least he's the last one that I documented, engaging in violence against me while I'm documenting their gang stalking me. And Starbucks, the corporation, is also going to be prosecuted for that, okay? This is POC. It's also a threat. while you're sitting in a business establishment, you have a right, a constitutional right and a human right, to not be subject to violence by a bunch of stalkers who have already lost with regard to the whole point of gang stalking is to maintain secrecy. So that is gone. So now they're just engaging in violence as a bunch of maniacal psychopaths who are upset because their obsession with my vagina is a matter of public information, in the same way that their prosecution will be. It is currently 5:56 p.m. while they're all stalking under a fake sun like psychopaths only do. This is P.O.C. All right, as you'll recall, the Ontario Police Department is engaging in terrorism using helicopter. The facets of terrorism include stalking with impossible light, where monitoring is underway. And monitoring is underway, surveillance is underway by the corrupt law enforcement agency. It does include Ontario Police, who are under that remaining fake sun at Ovid Family Community Library 24 hours ago. And as I walk out, documenting this same entity stalking in a bathroom, because that's what you're doing in Engineer Light, the Ontario Police immediately sound helicopter activity, and you see them on video that I published already with regard to the fake sun that's over 215 EC Street. As I walk out at 5:59 p.m. and on video, I'm capturing that specific environment where the ongoing pattern of conduct of stalking in helicopters and keeping a fake sun over my head is exactly what I documented again, while this entity that's been engaged in ongoing terrorism and harassment by the government. This is not ordinary harassment. This is harassment by an entity that's keeping you under surveillance and doing so with the intent to obstruct justice, doing psychotic things such as abusing you, hitting you, following you, pursuing you, molesting you with engineered light. And also surrounding you with it while you're kept under surveillance. And the entity is doing it to one who is exposing it and then increasing that violence as it's documented, because they're not targeting somebody that's ignorant about it. So they're typically targeting somebody that's bewildered, that is overwhelmed, that is very reasonably freaking out, okay? Because these are psychopaths and they're freaks. And by freaks, I mean freaks of nature. These are not normal people who are obsessively stalking. They don't want you to see and recognize how they are hunting you, but that's exactly what they're doing. And they're doing it in furtherance of seeking to try to take your life in whatever way that they can and control the narrative, and kidnap you in whatever way that they can to falsely depict your character in doing so. At 5:59 p.m., the entity is keeping that fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library, and this is what would put Harley in federal prison. This is what would put Mayo, KATHERINE, and NESA in federal prison for gang stalking me and engaging in what is a documented full day of terrorism, as every employee coming in engaging in that pattern of conduct and doing so with the impunity that I maintain detailed documentation about. At 6:02 p.m. is where you'll see the video captured. It's currently 6:02 p.m. right now. The fake sun is over the same entrance where you'll see, and that's a supernatural phenomenon that has to be documented in order to prove it, because you're documenting a corrupt government that will deny, and if you don't have the evidence to prove it, then that is what creates what is the unfortunate and tragic injustice with regard to falsely depicting the character of the targeted individual. The entity is engaging in this P.O.C. and Ontario Police is criminal engagement in stalking and helicopter is denoted with the presence of that fake sun. The fake sun is remaining over Starbucks today. As of 7 a.m., I'm capturing it. And this is the evidence, the direct evidence to put KATHERINE in federal prison for gang stalking me while she's on the job, which she's been doing repeatedly. And is also keeping my evidence about her stalking me under surveillance. And she's doing so in furtherance of an unlawful objective with the Ontario Police Department and with the people of the state that are coming in and purchasing from Starbucks in order to target me, and the fake sun and the engineered light inside of this venue is what supersedes that. The entity is, again, right now even monitoring, and that's the audible activity of the employees gang stalking with the patrons while they are engaging in what is pacing in and out of the bathroom under the fake sun that's over the same venue for over 10 hours. So that will be 11 hours. It's 6:03 p.m. The entity is engaging in this specific environment, and it's directly juxtaposed with what LAPD is doing in LA in another region, and also what happened 24 hours ago, okay, which was helicopter activity under a fake sun that remained over Ovid Family Community Library, not over 507 North Euclid Avenue, nor would the sun be over both venues at the same time, such that the sun is like the sky, and everywhere you're looking, the sun is there, and everywhere you go, the sun is there, and that's the same experience over everyone, everywhere, no matter what state or city or county, no matter what your ecological address, no matter where it is that you're at, that's not the sun, and that's impossible, and it's also absurd. The entity is engaging in what is clear criminal conduct, and the level of degenerate and demented behavior is directly relevant to the level of harm that an American citizen is going to recover for, while people who are actually mentally ill are obsessively monitoring, which is pursuant to stalking. And it is stalking on the job when you are in your workplace engaging in the pattern of conduct. You are stalking as you go to an establishment in the specific environment, and you are doing so intentionally. That's also what I've shown. Traffic is demonstrating the intent to engage in that P.O.C. Starbucks has engineered light above the heads of the employees. That's not explained by a natural circumstance, and that's how you're deriving Harley's intent to target me while she's banging on the bathroom door behind me under the fake sun that's been over her workplace for over 11 hours today. And Harley is subject to a federal prosecution for that, okay? She is literally in a bathroom monitoring me, not focused on relieving herself. And this is the reality of that. When you are aware of the significance of the environment, that's why it's there. That's why you have the ridiculousness that I document as a matter of hard evidence of a fake sun over one building, because that's not the natural environment, that's not the sun. Hence the term fake sun. It is a legally relevant phrase that is probative, and it's direct evidence of surveillance and also mental illness of those who are engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. And that includes the Ontario Police, who commenced to flying in a circle over me pursuant to their documented obsession with following me around in helicopters and in police vehicles under a fake sun, and doing so in a manner that is exhibiting severe mental instability and an unlawful, unconstitutional obsession with that which they are not going to accomplish. The entity is putting itself in federal prison, disbanding itself with this evidence that it is handing over to me on an hour-by-hour basis, and the people of the state are subject to that same fate. I just want to speak to the entity has been maintaining ongoing psychological torture and harassment for the duration of the day, which is the pattern of conduct. The entity is maintaining the stationary engineered light that you see on the floor in the morning, and then it keeps it for hours as it progressively goes backward and then disappears. And then the entity is maintaining engineered light all over the walls, as I document in the morning as well. And then the entity is maintaining the engineered light that's floating, flying in the air, moving all about in the all over the surfaces, all over the chairs. As you see the light activity on video, as I open and close the door, it's both outside and it's also inside. And the entity is engaging in that while the people of the state are crossing paths. So you're understanding the significance of while they're driving, because that's not sunlight reflecting off of the door. It's not the sun. It's been sitting over the building for 12 hours. That's not the sun. It's not sunlight either. And the entity is engaging in what is driving by, and simultaneous driving by, which is crossing path, is engineer light flying all about on the inside, which is terrorism, as the entity is engaging in it while they're monitoring. They're monitoring a specific person, they're monitoring in a specific method, a specific manner and mode on a consistent basis, which I document, and they're monitoring in a specific environment. And it's always clearly identifiable, both during the day and at night. And the entity is engaging in what is demonic, and that's why it's domestic terrorism. And it's also stalking that's committed as an entity, which is also domestic terrorism. The entity is engaging in this targeting system while they are engaging in a failed and highly unpersuasive and mentally disturbing passive-aggressive manner. But again, it's passive-aggressive when you're looking at it, because it will be defined as that because they're not talking to you. They're looking the other direction. They conduct themselves as strangers are supposed to, as you would assume that they should. However, they are not, because they are in that specific environment, which is the shared pattern of conduct with both presence in that environment that defies nature, which is when you're getting to the harms that's inflicted by that conduct. It's very disturbing. It's psychologically harmful to the ordinary target individual, and that's not passive aggressive at all when you're getting into the analysis and the purpose behind it. This is what the entity is going to be prosecuted for. It's currently 6:08 p.m. at what is 507 North Euclid Avenue at the Starbucks in Ontario, California, at the intersection of E and Euclid, where you'll see the fake sun over the same exact building that it was as I'm documenting it in the morning. So I'm stepping out in the sidewalk, I'm getting the logo of it's over the top of my head at 10:35, 10:30, 10:24. It's in the same position at 5:50, at 5:59 p.m. Okay, this is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's gang stalking wherever I'm located and wherever I go. This is another day of documenting an entity following from place to place. Okay, the entity is engaging in harassment while psychopaths want to sit close to me in order to engage in what is stalking, especially as I document. I'm being targeted with impossible light, and then a bunch of weirdos come around and sit close next to me which is relevant to the pattern of conduct. They're not normal people who are just sitting adjacent to you in a cafe. These are demons. They're stalking as a population, and they're doing so in a readily identifiable environment while they're keeping the evidence of their sick behavior under surveillance, and they're engaging in more and more of that. That's why they're weirdos, and I do document them. And you will see the faces of demons. You'll see the faces of the defendants, the people of the state who have been engaged in years of targeting me. And it is the basis of putting people like Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks in federal prison. It is currently 6:09 p.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, documentation of what you'll see is stalking in the path. The two females are monitoring. They are the ones that are engaging in what is stalking in the path as I'm documenting the fake son at the Ovid Family Community Library at 5:50 p.m. And then my face is hit with engineered light. These are passive-aggressive psychopaths who are gang stalking, just coming in to participate in the state's P.O.C. at the neighborhood cafe. And this is where the population comes and participates in it like Double Dutch. And they are monitoring my documentation, monitoring evidence, monitoring on a communication device, monitoring pursuant to federal stalking as I'm documenting the criminal conduct by the state. As I stop recording pursuant to the same P.O.C., they are stalking in the path with regard to activity creation. So they decide to leave, which is moving. The chairs are the means of audible activity. And at the moment that I use my device to capture images is when they are using that as the guise of leaving the venue. This is just narrating the P.O.C. of the demon possessed who are maliciously engaging that P.O.C. together. You have black people act in concert with people of different races. If you were to look at it on the surface level, people that are not addressing each other, people that are not coming in together, and they are engaging in the same demonic synchronicity as one, okay? This is what's relevant to the people of the state that are walking by, getting up out of their seats, walking in and out of the cafe, and you're looking at the engineer light that's on the ceiling inside of Starbucks, and you're looking at that that has nothing to do with any vehicles move. It's the plain stalking with light conduct by Starbucks, the gang stalker, and it's all demonic. Okay, it's all out of the pit of hell. This is Satan's criminal means of surveillance, and this is what the government is practicing, and it's exposed in California. It is currently 6:11 p.m. I just wanted to give that as I document the demon-possessed engaged in that same ongoing pattern of conduct, and it is embedded into what is the business, the corrupt business of Starbucks. So with regard to how you would prosecute, for example, a RICO case, gang stalking is relevant to prosecuting the people of the state, for prosecuting the government for engaging in this criminal system, and it is occurring while they are simultaneously engaging in whatever business, whatever activities that they are expected to and anticipated to engage in. It's happening at the same time, and that's relevant for a RICO case, and the specific environment is how you prosecute that. It is currently, again, 6:12 p.m. P.O.C. All right, 8JQF516. License 7NSZ232. That is at 5:59 p.m. The people of the state stalking in the path at the traffic lights, which the state is controlling, pursuant to real-time monitoring of my devices, anticipating what it is that I'm documenting, the fake sun that remains as you juxtapose Ovid Family Community Library, where you're looking at the direction that those vehicles are facing. They are driving in the direction south, going toward the Ovid Family Community Library, and the fake sun is behind them as I'm getting their rear license plates. And there is no sun in that direction, in that sky space either. As they're stalking, the ongoing evidence against them continues to accumulate. But nonetheless, third party license 8JQF516 and license 7NSZ232 in concert with the state that is facilitating the criminal conduct by the people of the state is underway. That's at, again, 5:59 p.m. P.O.C. All right, it is currently 9:14 p.m. Monitoring my vagina is a third party stalking in the path with light, license 7JLV890. Also, ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue, engaging in the sex offensive bathroom monitoring. And Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue, that corporations engaged in bathroom monitoring in concert with the people of the state that are gang stalking at those establishments in relevant position. 6DMD347, bathroom monitoring. These are sex offenders, as they are under the fake sun that remained over this building for 12 hours, but they literally engaged in the sex offense of monitoring my vagina in the bathroom on behalf of the gang stalkers of the Ontario Police Department. 23071H3, license 8WAL795. Kimberly Vents, Um, License CWE 7540, that's Arizona. And I think I read that one already. I'll get these over here. Kimberly is in there. Kimberly's gang stalking. She's monitoring my vagina. She's a violent sex offender who happens to be engaged in working for Starbucks. That's gang stalking. Starbucks is engaged in sexual violence while they're preparing your coffee drinks. That's what you need to know. License 9THN224. As my documentation is showing that they are monitoring American citizens. And they're violent sex offenders. They're psychopaths. Preparing coffee drinks, making money off of gang stalking, all manner of demonic light activity, demonic audible activity, and demonic pacing inside of the cafe under a fake sun that sat over the demons of the employees of the Starbucks today for 12 hours. These are literally the demon possessed that are preparing coffee drinks at a very popular company, which is satanic at Starbucks. Starbucks is a third party. Starbucks is a gang stalker, 7KOZ048 and 9APY925. I already documented that. They're still present engaging in the P.O.C. It's currently 9:16 p.m. Demons are pacing through the alley of the Unicare Healthcare Center. They're stalking in the path with light, while all of them that were monitoring my vagina that I just documented are doing so with the sex offenders pacing around it in the dark, trying to make sure that they're aiming light at me. I have multiple shadows on the ground. These are stalkers. All right, at what is the third-party facilitating venue, the facilitating venue of Unicare Healthcare Center. They're on Sunday night stalking in the path with light, and they were also monitoring my vagina. This sex offender's license plate is CW9PVU405, I believe. Looks like an Asian female. A lot of sex offenders, females and males. There is no gender discrimination, as Satan also does not discriminate. Contrary to what he wants you to do, Satan does not discriminate. All races were monitoring me today, all races. It is currently also 9:16 p.m. This is documentation of bathroom monitoring. Vince is the quote unquote lead. Starbucks leads are gang stalkers. They're demons. They're psychopaths. They're violent sex offenders monitoring the genitalia of patrons in the establishment where they're engaged in criminal conduct, surveillance, which is satanic, while being employed for that venue. It is currently 9:17 p.m. This is P.O.C. Vince, NESA, Kimberly. These are the sex offenders currently working, engaging, and monitoring my vagina together while wearing the green aprons representing Starbucks. P.O.C. Currently 9:47 p.m. License plate 23071H3 and 6DMD347. Impossible light while this demon drives out of the drive-thru. It's crawling on the curb. This is a demon. That's impossible light activity. This is so ridiculous. This is the light that was on the ceiling inside of the Starbucks today. Absolutely demonic. It's a stalker. License 9KOD442. And license, the one stalking with impossible light on the curb, is TK6M8S. And that is an out-of-state license plate while they're stalking me through the drive-thru. Starbucks is going to be prosecuted for this. That's a Missouri plate, TK6M8S. All right, just like when they're driving down the street, light doesn't cause the shadow of vehicles to move across when your vehicle hasn't even approached yet and you're driving on the side of the street where how is the shadow on the same side of the street appearing on the opposite side of the street and it's dynamic. These are demons stalking with light. Stalking with light. They're demons that are monitoring. Okay, and they're monitoring by going through the drive-thru, by coming in and purchasing from, and by working at the venue of Starbucks. Okay, this is P.O.C. headquarters today. It's a prosecution of a commercial actor criminally facilitating domestic terrorism and psychological torture. That's what I documented, and that's going to be very expensive. You're going to drain the pockets of corrupt actors like Starbucks. It's currently, again, 9:49 p.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, it is 9:50 Just want to really quickly get license plate 6X U.S. 062. And at 9:50, you will also see the image of the fake moon while I'm in the parking lot of the same venue, the Starbucks, where the entity kept the sun over the building from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was 11 hours. The sun remained over 507 North Euclid Avenue. And as I leave at nightfall, that's where the moon is as well. And then the moon is going to remain over me as I go back to the TABOR Professional Building as that fake moon moves as I move. This is the identifying factor of where surveillance, which is demonic, is underway. And it's directly pointing at the government. Starbucks just engaged in criminal activity, incriminating the state of California, because Starbucks is a third party. So what the people of the state are doing, the government's going to be prosecuted for. And so are the people of the state. But it's pointing directly at the government. And they're in the shoes of the government. They're not private parties. None of those are private citizens. The government filled Starbucks all day long. The government filled Starbucks, was stalking me all day long, has no warrant, no probable cause, and no legitimate government interest for that satanic act and that inhumane means of stalking and monitoring, keeping me under surveillance through the people of the state, a corrupt company like Starbucks, which is catering to the satanic purposes of the state of California that's engaging in surveillance. All right, it is currently 9:52 p.m. where the specific environment is following me. That's documentation of domestic terrorism. And the entity is documented again on another day, following me as I go from place to place. This is the entity stalking. This is P.O.C. The entity that's sounding any sort of noise under the fake moon and under the fake sun is centered on me. And the method of audible activity is also relevant for analyzing the stalker. So while the stalker that monitors my vagina sounds audible activity reminiscent of the sound of a gunshot, it's going to be prosecuted as a threat. And that's exactly what the demons that are stalking you in helicopter are inclined to do. And that's why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. But this is also why raging psychopaths like Vince and Seth and Katherine, Harley, ALAYNA, the entity that's engaged in gang stalking at your neighborhood Starbucks are threatening your life and safety and invading your privacy in unprecedented manners and are threatening just like this, while they are altogether monitoring you. And under this circumstance, they're monitoring the evidence against them. The government's going to be intensely prosecuted for the unprecedented violation of human and constitutional rights, exposing corrupt companies that are popular, and they shouldn't be. They should be popular for being known as terrorists. That's what Starbucks is going to be known for. It's currently 9:53 p.m. That's audible activity pursuant to gang stalking me. This is P.O.C. This is the same entity that's stalking from place to place, from across the street in possible light, touching on my thighs, touching all over my body, like sex offenders that monitor my vagina in the bathroom as well. Every license plate that I documented today acting as one entity. They all committed sex offense today. They all engaged in harassment and psychological torture today. And it's not just those third parties, not just the names of the psychopaths that work at Starbucks. It's not just Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. I'm prosecuting the state, and the state was acting via the corrupt company of Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. We're the entity that is wicked and sexually perverted and corrupt, is also very highly unintelligent and kept a fake sun over all of them so that all of the world can know who they are and what they were doing. All right, it's currently 9:54 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, the entity that is molesting me with light is the entity that is stalking me, license 8PEH363. License 9MRE668. License 7KIC695. License 6ZNK111. That's the entity that is stalking from place to place and molesting me with light, wanting to touch on me as much as they possibly can. And this is also why they worship me and monitor my vagina, which is sexual violence, and I'm going to prosecute the government for the government. The entity, and this is going to be the prosecution of a public entity as a sex offender, a public entity as a stalker, companies as a sex offender, companies as gang stalkers, domestic terrorists, because that's literally what they're doing, and that's exactly how they're going to be prosecuted. It's currently 9:55 p.m.
This is 325 West G Street. There's no terminals over here where you're taking off. They're stalking where the fake moon is over me, following from Starbucks. And they're stalking where the engineer light is present. This is P.O.C. That's the City of Ontario gang stalking, following from place to place. Keeping me under surveillance at Starbucks, in concert with the people, and keeping me under surveillance now with the people who are driving an engineer light, monitoring with them, stalking with light. That covers where the Ontario International Airport is deviating from any takeoff from any terminal to a terminal 4 at 29 and 2500 Airport Drive, engaging in the ridiculousness of being on video, stalking again after I captured a whole day of a sun sitting over a building in the City of Ontario for 12 hours. That's the City of Ontario gang stalking with commercial planes, in concert with the people of the state that are demon-possessed, stalking with light all day long, and they're stalking with light right now. This is the prosecution of the state of California. The demon-possessed are going to mental asylums, they're going to federal prison, they are being disbanded as the Ontario Police Department. And the entity that's using airports is going to be shut down. The entity that is gang stalking through corrupt mayors and city councils are going to be removed from position, and fire departments that are engaging in gang stalking, and the municipality engaging in gang stalking, that'll be replaced as well. It is currently 10 p.m. where the entity is obsessed with me and is stalking me, and is still stalking when they have failed at trying to artificially engineer a mental illness that doesn't exist on paper, in order to steal my property, which the entity is not going to get. But ironically, the entity has revealed its own mental illness, and it's going to be used, this evidence, to diagnose them and prosecute them. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:01 p.m. This is evidence putting Jason Isaac Fields in federal prison, and putting Tracy Banks in federal prison. P.O.C.